Welcome back, my fellow Aeternians. As always, it's me, Emperor AP, and today I am going to be responding to the Empire of Stomaria's video condemning us, specifically condemning me, and talking a little bit about that. Um, I I'm a little bit disappointed. I want to watch the video. I was gonna watch the video and then respond and do all of that. I started watching it and it's like 32 minutes long, so I figured the best thing to do was go ahead and watch it with you all and go through and I can kind of react to it live. And as well, I'm filming this in a similar setup as I did to my interview with President Stephen Luke of Dracul, where I'm actually going to be having the audio play out loud. Hopefully you guys can hear it. I know there's a bit of noise around, and I apologize for that. But after that, I have as well Discord messages and stuff for context. If we can pull those up, I will do so later on if that context is needed. But for now, I just want to talk about things and kind of react to this video. Let me go ahead and share real quick the video on our on our Discord so that everybody can be queued in. There have been a number of people who have been messaging me about it, and so I want to make sure that those people get the response that they deserve, and we can all kind of discuss this together. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. Um, Um, and I want to be able to address things because I feel like even though I haven't heard the Sumerian side of things through their video, I do know some of their points that they brought up to me directly, and I just want to address those and the situation. So let's go ahead here. Um, they go through their intro and then they go through like their their song, their national anthem. But I am going to skip forward past that. That's about where I got to was a couple minutes into their initial statements, and so I want to go ahead and start there so that we can get through it. Ooh, Jose Moreno says, I saw the video. He's condemning you. Yeah, absolutely. Aiden says, Yo, Aeternia, did you see the propaganda I sent you via email? I will have to check it out. I appreciate it. I haven't been able to look at my email too much. I'm in the final push for my semester. On Friday, I do my defense for my thesis for my undergrad research project, and so I will be doing that and having to focus on that and school for the next couple weeks until I graduate. But for now, let's get into this.
Zero-sum game for those involved. In fact, this video that I'm making now is taking precedence over celebrating the recent likes of the King of Film and the upcoming state visits towards the end of this month. And I'm hoping that this is not going to be a major distraction from it. But the seriousness of this condemnation is hard beyond Emperor AP of Aeternia raiding Discord server.
Real quick before we continue, I want to make sure that everybody can hear. If you can't hear, let me know. As of right now, he's talking about just the initial startup to things and kind of saying, why they're making the video. This is really important because it's not that they raided a Discord server. It's something much more serious. So,
Some risque comment or some other trivial nonsense.
if you guys can hear, let me know. If not, I'll see if I can fix it.
Post condemning that recommendation as just trivial nonsense. But this is, as far as I'm concerned, far more serious. And this condemnation is far more justified. But before I get to the reason, the rationale for this condemnation, this severing of ties with Aeternia, I need to walk through our history with the Empire of Aeternia. Because for those who don't know, especially for the last 6-7 months,
Ooh, 99-bit says can't hear. I appreciate it. Thank you, 99. I'm gonna try and see if I can fix that at all, but I really don't know. Oh, I sure can. My apologies. Let me crank that for you guys a little bit more.
Seem to come out
I hope this
entirely
helps.
audibly, but this is something that I am going to have to walk through with you, and then we'll get to the actual reason as to why this condemnation has. So, first contact with the Empire of Aeternia was actually made December 2019 and January 2020. And it was only one or two emails exchanged at that point. I'm not even sure what we were discussing. It was something, I'm sure, something to do with a potential trade deal or some form of cooperation or something to that effect. Because for those that know the Empire of Aeternia, they have quite a significant presence on YouTube. They're one of the largest active micronational YouTube channels. And at the time, I don't remember if we were on YouTube at that point, but we certainly had a cycle following on our Facebook page. And I think probably closer collaboration on that front was something that we were potentially also discussing. I honestly can't remember, but the details are particularly important. Nothing came of it. Fast forward to 2021, we were in a position where we did have a noticeable presence on YouTube ourselves, and so I decided to contact Emperor AP with the intention of creating some collaborative content.
Sorry guys, we got an ad. Let me read the comment in the ad break. Ooh, I appreciate it. I'm glad you can hear 99-bit. Thank you for updating, and as well, thank you, Daxia. Again, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen and to go through this with me. It's a long video, and it's going to be a long response by me as well, but I want to go through this properly.
Formally applied for an alliance through Aeternia's website, and I think it was probably August, September time in 2021 that this happened, and we eventually did get a response, but that was through Discord, as I understand it. I don't think it was actually officially through email. I might be wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure we did have some email conversations, but nothing significant happened until after September. Because in September, I agreed to be interviewed by Emperor AP for his YouTube channel, and obviously happy to do that, sort of raise awareness of Stomaria, and help out Aeternia. So it's all fine. People like it when micronational leaders have chit chats with one another, discussing micronationalism or their respective micronations. So that wasn't an issue for me. And soon after that, we sort of settled on an initial trade deal where I would send one of our silver Sumerian staters on some of our merchandise in return for some of their copper ingots, and potentially some of their merchandise as well. And this was agreed in principle, I believe, in sort of October, November time. And in December, that trade agreement was actually initiated when we sent a package containing the stater and the merchandise to Emperor AP, which was then received on the 12th or 13th of December, from memory. And in December, we also commissioned some artwork for Aeternia, where people probably have seen some of the artwork that we have done for micronations, such as Wayward and Moorland, and obviously Stomaria itself, about a figure, normally the micronational, the leader of that micronation holding the flag and waving the breeze and all the rest of it. It's quite nice artwork, and Emperor AP and Aeternia were the first ones that we trialed this with, and so we sent that to them in December. So.
By the way, I do want to say that's the same image they used in the thumbnail. It's nice artwork. It's really flattering, and I was honored to receive that at the time that I did. That wasn't an initial part of the trade deal, but it was something I think that Stomaria just wanted to do, and it was certainly a very nice gesture.
That was a genuine effort to make an impression and to actually build closer ties between the two micronations, in order to formalize something in terms of formal alliance, formal trade agreement, and create collaborative content with one another. And then fast forward to April 2022, and we're here with me outright condemning Aeternia, with severing ties entirely with Aeternia. And so, what happened? So the early warning signs, I think, were there. I probably didn't want to see them because I was too heavily invested in trying to make this work, trying to make this friendship work, trying to make this relationship work. Because every tie that we can have with another micronation, which has some semblance of credibility, is a win for everyone involved. And so trying to sort of ignore any feelings I might have had, trying to ignore any little warning signs, any red flags that might have popped up, that was necessary in order for this sort of alliance to keep on track.
Jose says, I don't think there should be any allies at this point. It's too messy and it becomes problematic. That's how I feel. No, I agree. I don't think there's like future alliance stuff building between Aeternia and Stomaria. That seems understandable. Daxia says, Moreno, I agree. There's already too much tension. John Hancock says, I can't hear. I'm sorry you can't hear, John. I hope this has helped. Like, I tried to turn up the volume, but I don't know. This is the max volume that my computer goes to, so I can't do too much more there. And I'm sorry about that. I can try and bring it closer, but like then I have to hold it. Let me see if I can
I suppose the
pull this forward and then maybe turn this.
Was the
Ooh, product of the 1980s. Hello, it's good to see you.
It wasn't a major deal in that we had the interview, but we weren't credited at all with it, if you see what I mean. Like in the description of a YouTube channel, if you're interviewing someone, you'll normally say, follow this link to see this guy, and all the rest of it.
Hey bro, I'm actively streaming. I'm actively on a live stream, bro.
So, like, how many people's online?
7 currently.
So you're watching a movie actively?
I'm watching a guy who runs another micronation condemning my micronation. And I didn't get a chance to like watch through because it's like a 30-minute video and then like react to it. So I'm doing that on stream so that I can give context for my side of the story.
On your stuff?
On my side of the story of why they're condemning us and yeah.
I thought okay, that's what I thought. I did not read it. I did not know.
No, you're good. You're good.
Okay, never mind it. See you all.
See you. Okay. Product of the 1980s says, oh, I'm glad it's better, John Hancock. Product of the 1980s says, is this your first viewing of the video? Yes, it is. Fake name said, you should probably not react to comments on this. I appreciate it. I think we should just kind of move through it. I think you're right. But yes, this is my first time watching the video. I want to, first off, give you guys a live reaction, and secondly, be able to show context for the things that are described in the video. I'm probably going to do most of that afterward, but we'll go ahead.
We didn't have that. It wasn't a big deal. A few weeks later, I messaged Emperor AP, and I said, look, we've shared your video on our Facebook page because the Facebook algorithm, it hides YouTube videos from our audience. Very, very few people, very few Sumerian supporters are actually seeing this interview, and I would like more people to see it. So I said, would it be okay if I took this interview of me and shared it on our YouTube channel? And he said no. I thought, well, I mean, it is an interview of me, but fair enough. That's fine. We'll sort of sweep under the rug. Don't worry about it. And then when on the same topic of videos, when he actually received the stator, Emperor AP received the stator and the merchandise, he did a little unpacking video showcasing some of the Stomaria merchandise and everything. Again, didn't sort of link to any of our channels or groups or websites or anything like that in the description of the YouTube channel, which again is, I feel like is common practice if you're discussing a particular micronation in that way.
I will say that. That is just a legitimate thing. I didn't put their links in the in the description of either of those videos. They're probably right about that. Um, I've had I've done some interviews, and I guess I just have not gotten into the practice. That is a legitimate point. I should do that. Um, I can go back and add those links. I will say, I didn't want them to share the video on their YouTube channel because it's myself trying to like get a larger place on the uh, in our watch time, and I am more than happy to work with Stomaria or any other micronation if they were like, hey, we tried to share this thing. It's not really getting out to our audience. I would like for it to get out to our audience. We could just do another interview. We could do an interview on your channel if that's what you wanted, or we could find something else. We could promote it on the Discord. We could promote it on other places. Um, I you could even share it. I don't understand why taking the video and sharing it, like downloading it and then uploading it as your own video, has to be the solution to like spreading it out to your audience more. Why couldn't they have just like done a YouTube community post and been like, hey, here's this video from Aeternia of Stomaria. Here you go. I I think he's right. It is common practice to add people's like things and promote them when you do an interview with them. But at the same time, it's also common practice to not like download and upload interviews of yourself from other people, which he didn't, and I appreciate that. But I just I don't know. He says it's fine here. I wish I knew that that was like a larger thing. First off, if I would have been made aware of it, hey, you didn't throw our links in the description, I would have been like, oh, I'm sorry, and I would have updated that. But would have, shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I didn't. So I'm just surprised to hear this now. Like this is the first time in Emperor Andrew and I's conversations. This is the first time where I've heard like, hey, you didn't do this thing, specifically when it comes to the links and specifically when it comes to finding solutions for trying to get it out to their audience. He told me, hey, this isn't getting out to our audience, so can I download and upload it? And I was like, I'd prefer if you didn't do that. But I wish I would have known this was a larger problem for him. I would have done more to resolve it. Like I said, I probably just uploaded it and didn't think about it. But
or a particular person or a particular group, I think it's quite common practice to give them, some sort of shout out or credit in that way.
mm-hmm.
But again, I didn't make a big deal of it. I don't think I even mentioned it in the end because it just wasn't that important.
No, they didn't mention it, and that's the thing. They're saying it's not important, and I appreciate it, but it also feels strange to be like, we didn't give them the chance to correct that problem. We just then in our condemnation video also throw it in there. Um, okay. Let's keep watching.
And then the artwork that we completed and sent in December, there were a few revisions to the artwork that were sent to Emperor AP.
Absolutely. Again, I appreciate the artwork. It was super thoughtful. They did do a thing where they like sent us. They were like, hey, by the way, we're making artwork. Can you like take pictures for us? And that took me a minute to get like just the pictures. So Tiffany and I running around. I had to tell him like I think once or twice like, hey, I'm sorry, I like still don't have the pictures yet, but I'm trying to get the pictures for you. I got the pictures. I sent them to him. He got them back and then sent us the artwork that had been done of me and him. The artwork that you can see in the thumbnail of the video. And then said, a day or two later or something, a few days later, hey, there are like some revisions we want to make because some of the facial details aren't exactly right and the flag details aren't exactly right. So let's like fix that and then we'll have it back. And I thought all that was thoughtful. Again, I didn't expect it and I was surprised by it. But I'm curious as to how this like develops in the video because he does bring it up a couple times, and so I wonder if that's a big sticking point that maybe I didn't do something to reciprocate. I didn't create artwork for them, or I'm not sure. But I'm curious to know if this becomes a larger sticking point for them. Um, Kingdom of Daxia says, ooh, Sabotat said I started them because ooh. I'll respond to comments later. I appreciate it. I want to talk, and I see you guys, but I'm gonna hit
But
it
when I
up
actually
later.
sent the final design that we'd spent some weeks sort of organising and putting together and working with the artist to make sure it was right, when I sent the final design, it wasn't even acknowledged, much less got any thanks for. And again, I
Absolutely, and again, I appreciate that. I was busy. I didn't expect it.
thought that was a bit
Oh gosh, my computer's wigging out.
weird.
Sorry,
But again, I didn't make a big deal of it. It wasn't the end of the world.
and I
Just
appreciate that.
keep on tracking. Keep everything on track. Don't rock the boat. Just keep on pushing. But the main issue, the primary cause for this condemnation, this severing of ties, was the trade agreement itself. So when Emperor AP received our package, received our silver, received our merchandise, he sent me a photo of
Ooh, first off, I do want to acknowledge one person though. I know I said I wasn't reading comments, but Morticia von Elfberg is in the chat. Grand Duchess of Aeternia. It's good to see you, Grand Duchess von Elfberg. We're watching a condemnation video that Stomaria did on us, specifically on me, and I want to talk about it and address it. Um, yeah, yep. So that's who this person is. Uh, Grand Duchess von Elver said, "Do I need to go into action?" No, not at all. I wanna talk about things. I wanna explain things. Um, I feel like I'll save commentary for the end. I want to finish playing the video. We're like a third of the way through. I know it's a long video, but I feel like if we get through the video and we hear out everything before I make my comments, I can jump into the DMs. I can show you guys my thoughts and my perspective and what I was going through at the time and what I tried to relay as best I could to Stomaria and to Emperor Andrew. But I will continue.
the package, along with the message saying, thanks very much, your package is now finished, just putting the final touches on it, and then it'll be sent in the following week. And I thought, great, perfect. A few weeks, trade agreement complete, sorted. We can form an alliance, go on from there. After a few weeks, I got another message saying, sorry, it's not going to be sent until, it's not going to be finished until January.
And that is correct. And again, I appreciate everybody holding their thoughts until the end, as I'm trying to do. But
And then we'll send it off soon after that, and then we'll receive it in January. I thought it was already finished. It's fine. Don't worry. Just probably these final touches are taking a bit longer than expected. We'll receive it in January.
Yep.
January comes. Still nothing.
Yep.
I messaged Emperor AP. I said just wanted an update about the package, and he said that's because of the number of Etsy orders, his Imperial Market orders. Apparently there was a backlog of those,
Yes.
and he wanted to clear them before he sent our package. I was slightly taken aback. I was like, oh, okay, I mean, I'm sure it doesn't take all that much effort to post a completed package, but, fine, go and do what you need to do. Then February comes, same thing. We've got a backlog of Etsy orders. I'd rather get those prioritized over your package. All right, fine, okay, but this is going to get sent, isn't it? It's ready. And then
I will clarify that one point. I never said it was ready. I understand I'm going to go into this further in a minute, but I understand in uh, where he says that I said it would be done in a week, which is true at the time. That was my expectation and that was my intention. As things go on, situation changes. I do explain those changes, I feel, a bit more than he's elaborating here, but I will stop for a minute. I just wanted to point that out, and we'll continue. But I never said, oh, okay, well now the package is completely done. All I have to do is send it.
Come March, he just acknowledges it. He doesn't even say it's going to be sent at some point. He just says, just so you know, yeah, I remember, I do have a package to send you. And just keep in mind, I initiated all of these conversations. At no point did Emperor AP send me an update on these off his own back. I had to inquire as to whether or not this package had been sent. I had to inquire as to why it had not been, received by us.
I will say this. Um, Emperor Andrew did contact me most of the time about the package. However, as we'll go through in the DMs, I did actually contact him once or twice about it, directly before he contacted me. But most of the time, my responses were during periods in which I had previously expressed, "Hey, there's a specific issue. I can't do updates right now. I can't uh, give much. I can't give a specific time period, but we'll go back into that."
Yeah. And then it came to April. Now, at this point, even though I have grave reservations because of the delays of this trade agreement, I am still hopeful for some sort of closer collaboration. So, I messaged Emperor AP. I don't think I even mentioned the package in sort of late March, early April, and I said, do you want to do some sort of collaborative video, or do you want to do a meeting with myself, Queen Neve of Selassie, King Raoul of Wayward, Prince Alexander of Moreland, have a little micronational online meeting, record it or something to that effect, and that would be something that could be shared about. And he said, yeah, that's absolutely fine. And so, brilliant.
I said, yes, that's absolutely fine. And I believe in that same message I said, and I still have that package to send you.
Discuss it in the next meeting that I have with Selassie, Wayward, and Moreland, which are all a part of the Empire of Stomaria. They're all micronations in their own right, but they form a part of Stomaria. So I'm in regular contact with them. So in the actual meeting itself that I had with Selassie, Moreland, and Wayward, the question of Aeternia came up, and I put to them, should we have this collaborative video? We'll record it, it'll be fine, and then we'll just post it out there. And it'll be shared about good publicity, these micronational leaders coming together, having a chat about micronationalism. People will enjoy it, it'll be productive, it'll build closer ties with Aeternia, everyone's a winner. Now, some of the responses that I got were less than encouraging, because I'm not going to name names, but some of the participants of that meeting highlighted the fact that Aeternia was very much a meme micronation from its inception. If you go to look at any of their earlier work, it is a meme micronation. There are no two ways about it.
I do have a question here. What's a meme micronation? I understand the concept that some micronations do post memes. I understand that there are troll micronations on the internet, but this feels, just in hearing it, a bit strange because, yes, I have silly videos on the YouTube channel that is for our government. I am the leader of that nation. I don't consider myself a meme, though I am somebody who has a sense of humor. I consider that a part of the growth and development of Aeternia. Some of our most popular videos are ones in which I, for example, in micronational economics, explain micronational economics and make jokes throughout it. And I establish a culture. I establish ties to specific stories and things that we connect to through those videos. The same thing happens throughout almost all of our videos, though I've gotten more nuanced with it, and though my sense of humor has adapted over time, in my video making style, I've still always put little jokes and winks and into the videos because that's what I enjoy out of watching videos. Even if I'm watching the most serious topic, it's not fun to watch something that doesn't at least kind of try and joke with you, or doesn't at least kind of try to give you a sense of like a direct personal connection. And I feel like a lot of micronations lack that, where they are very official and they say this is a government and this is what we're doing and we're presenting this as the government, but there are a ton of micronations that then stand by that and don't ever show the people behind them, or do uh, very lightly in creating the Empire of Eternia and in expanding on this nation and this channel. I have always put myself in front of the camera because I wanted to make sure that people got to know who I am. I'm connected with that. And also because the development of Eternia and its culture comes from my growth as a person. And the inception of Eternia, starting with me, allowed me to kind of reach out to other people and start to film my process going through that, as well as connecting to those other people. So I think it's strange because we shouldn't criticize other nations who make jokes. We shouldn't say. I think it starts to become worrying when we say these micronations are serious and these ones are jokes. Um, the I have coined the terms realist versus fantasy micronation in my video on realist versus fantasy micronation, the types of micronations. But even there, I do not say these micronations are realist, these micronations are fantasy, because you really shouldn't do that. I have said what my thoughts are on certain ones, but I have never said those are for sure. And I've always tried to stipulate. I think those people ultimately have to determine for themselves what their goals are, and that determines whether they're serious or not, whether they're joking or not, whether they're having fun or not. But that hurts. That hurts to be developing something legitimate and trying to um, work to care for people. It it's rough. It's rough to be called a meme, I guess, because I feel like it devalues what we've done and what people who aren't just me have done. Like you can say, oh well, this guy's silly in a video, but you shouldn't undercut all of the work that everyone else who isn't me has done for this nation and that has helped to make it what it is, because that is just not right. I don't know. Let's continue.
You have Emperor AP banding his hair at the front of his head and calling it a narwhal tusk, saying that it's going to be used to defend Aeternia from hostile micronations. You've got him having, he's talking to inanimate objects for interview purposes, and
Yes.
he has some of his introductions, too many to count, but one that always sticks with me is one about one of his economic videos or monetary videos, and the intro to that is a screaming clown.
Correct. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know. I still think it's funny.
Not
I
a
don't.
great look for a micronation.
Why? Why is that not a? I don't understand that. I really don't. So you're telling me that you don't, in what situations, I guess comedians can make jokes, other people can't make jokes. I get that to some extent. I understand feeling like, oh, well, you should, there should be a distinction. You should have some separation. But concerning something that has started from me and that I'm trying to openly and candidly and honestly show, I feel is better than me trying to create some shell around it, some filter between what is truly occurring and what I'm thinking moment to moment versus what I hope to project for the nation. I feel like a lot of micronations do that, and I think it's not the right thing to do. There are people behind these things, and they're very small groups most of the time. So we should be direct about saying, hey, this is what I think, this is what I feel, this is how I'm moving forward, especially in the age of the internet, when you would love to think about, hey, what did George Washington think? During these specific situations. Not like, what did the government of the United States officially put out, but what were these individual people thinking and feeling? What did they laugh about? What did they cry about? Those are things that are important. And I think it's not something that we should do as a community to rule that out as acceptable behavior. We should 100% allow people to make jokes. We should 100% allow people to express themselves and to be different. It's not okay to try and say, well, this should be how a micronation acts exactly and nothing else. I think that's
especially if you're going to start off doing that, but then later on trying to position yourself as a more serious micronation.
But that's what bothers me, right? Is he's like, so they were a joke before and then they got serious. So we should go back and look at the joke part. It's no different. Aeternia then is Aeternia now. It's just an evolution of our culture. We still make jokes today. We're still going to post things today that are going to have little winks and nods and jokes in them. We just have other stuff we're doing that happens to be serious right now. But that doesn't mean that the things that we weren't doing previously weren't just as important, weren't just as crucial to the initial development of us. It feels like taking someone's culture and being like, these parts aren't important, it's just this part that's important, the thing that I see value in. It that just hurts though. Like, I understand the concept that, oh, it's the internet and there are memes and there are jokes and whatever, but under that is a person who made the thing and who is proud of the thing. So if you want to understand context for it, you should talk to that person and say, hey, why did you do this? Um, for example, the other day, this thing reached out to us and said, hey, it was in a live stream and said, hey, we have this like propaganda video and it has like this and this and this. And I asked like questions about why they had particular things in the propaganda video. And so we discussed those and we talked about those details. Some details which I felt like were strange to put in there, but we discussed it. And I was just curious to know as to why they would do that. Um, I feel like he never hit me up about it. When things were initially formed, when we started talking as micronational leaders in developing the potential for an alliance, when we did our interview, he was like, "Oh, I really love Aeternia, and I watched the videos and all this stuff." But then now comes out and is like, "But all those videos that I watched were bad and garbage and not serious." I I don't see how you can neglect the three dimensionality of a person by saying, they should only be this facet that I like, not these other facets that I don't like, but that are still part of that person. I'm just very confused. Drew said, hello, what's going on? Hello, Drew, it's good to see you. Stomaria, Condemned Aeternia, we're watching that video, reacting to it, we're about halfway through, and then I'm going to give my response, my full official response with information and explanation.
And some of the participants of that meeting just had some reservations about that. I mean, how serious is Aeternia about this? Are they just doing it for, the lols? Or is there something more to it? Because if anyone was to look at any of the earlier content, they would think that it was just a joke.
The trade agreement? Why would I filmed a nice video showing off their things and being like, yeah, check it out. They look at how awesome they sent us the stuff. If I were doing it for a joke, why wouldn't I have I don't know, been silly about it. Dang. And I did put some jokes in the video or whatever. Even their ones. I opened the package with a big hatchet instead of a a little letter opener or whatever. I actually ended up cutting myself in the process of doing that. But it just I don't know. It surprises me and it takes me back because they're saying how serious could this nation be? Isn't this just a joke? But they're also saying, but you committed to a serious trade deal. Why would they think it's a joke? Because it wasn't. And also, why say that I should be held accountable for the seriousness of the endeavor, but should not be taken seriously because everything I do is a joke. I just don't see that being their standpoint from the beginning. And it seems like this starts to occur once this meeting occurs. But we'll continue.
Which is fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but those aren't the sorts of micronations that we are looking to affiliate with. So that was one of the questions that was highlighted. And it's not like Aeternia is shy about this issue, about these sort of meme culture that they've sort of embraced. Because, I mean, if you ever go to their YouTube channel, you will see the featured video is of the one micronation that they have ever allied with, which is a meme micronation. But not just any meme micronation, it is a Marxist-Leninist micronation. And in the video, you can see this young man and Emperor AP shaking hands, forming lines, and in the background are these two red banners. One has an enormous picture of Stalin's head on it, and the other one is the flag of the Korean Workers' Party, which, for those that don't know, is the governing party of North Korea.
Correct. Why is he so, like, upset with other cultures and other things that are different than his viewpoint? Like, I didn't say, oh, I support the North Korean government, but I did show up to somebody who may. I conducted a trade agreement with someone who was close to us, and I connected with them, and we became good friends, and I learned about their interests, and I learned about their hobbies. And I still keep up with that person today, even though they don't really keep up with micronationalism. It, I, I just don't understand where the like vitriol for this comes from, where the disgust comes from. Because when he says that, you can see that they have these two red banners in the background, and he has like a face of disgust. And if you are disgusted by communist or socialist nations, you're going to be excluding a lot of the world. And I think that's an unfair thing to do. I don't think you have to agree with everything that everyone does, certainly, but you should also understand and not immediately judge other cultures.
Now, I have my own views on communism, but anyone that tries to defend Stalinism, anyone that tries to defend North Korea, I don't know what to tell you. But they are, as I said, quite a meme-like micronation. But the fact
But that's the difference, right? They say at first, Aeternia is a meme micronation, Parkistopia is a meme micronation. And then they go, Parkistopia is a meme-like micronation, right? So what he's saying is, it's not that we have proof and evidence that they're a meme micronation. They've said it. They're saying we think from our standards that they are a joke and we don't take them seriously, which is fine. You don't have to. But every time you do that and you just proclaim these people aren't serious, it's hurtful. It's hurtful to those people. It's hurtful to other people who may be aspiring to do similar things and feel like, well, I won't be included in this community if I don't act in this specific structure that the people who have a voice in it like. That's not okay. Matt says, hello. Hello, Matt. It's good to see you. Sabotat says, but irrelevant micronutrient train you by. Why would you pass up the opportunity? Good question.
Aeternia's only ally is this other micronation. The fact that he had no issue posing in front of these flags shows.
Sorry, guys. I'll respond to comments for a second. 12 viewers. Thank you guys for checking it out. Sabotage. Fake names is Parkstopia is founded of that, where they're never serious. MicroWiki makes that clear. You say that, but they did do some serious stuff with us. Like, we really did have a bottle trade going where they gave us, like, plastic bottles to use for our first initial seasteading attempts, which we have videos of. Like, sure, Parkestopia also made jokes and stuff, and sure, Parkestopia may not have been serious in the founder's eyes, but we really did make an agreement, and we really did hold to that agreement, and they really did right by us. They were really friends to us, and I don't see why that's a bad thing. Oh, sorry. I had it muted for the ad.
I don't know, but and the fact that it's featured as their primary video on their YouTube channel.
Yes.
I mean,
because it was a good interview. Because it was of a nation that we had, first off, most initial ties with, and also some of the most close ties with. It's something that I'm proud of and something that I want other micronations to see and say, hey, even if you're just, starting out and you're in a backyard and you have these ideas and you can connect with someone else around you, that's okay. That is a legitimate starting point, and you should be proud of that. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of where we come from. That's a part of our culture. That's a part of who we are. And it hurts that it's just like, oh, this is gross to us. Ew, Aeternia, get your culture out of our face. Get your historic moments out of our face.
that's a red flag. And that's, again, something that I did myself try to ignore for the benefit of trying to build closer ties with a micronation that I thought was genuine and I thought was serious, or had become genuine and serious.
Had become genuine and serious. That's the thing that's weird. He never asked why Aeternia was founded. Never asked details on what our plans or purposes were. Never asked for context for those initial videos. Just saying, I think you're not serious. You don't live up to my standards. So you're serious at the point that I feel like you're serious, and then that's it. I don't like that.
But this
that's
was
not
a
okay.
major issue for the other micronations in that meeting. And so this was something that I put to one side. I was like, all right, okay. But to be fair, it's not just that. There's also this trade agreement issue. And so they said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, this has been going on for 4 months, nearly 5 months at this point. And they said, what do you mean it's been going on for 4 months? Well, I said, and I explained everything that I just explained to you. And they said, Andrew, something's not right here. This is not normal. This isn't the way a person conducts themselves in micronationalism or in the real world at all. This isn't right. And so, I was there defending Aeternia, defending Emperor AP. I was the...
And I do appreciate that. There were a few messages that I did see before things started to get heated where he does it. We'll go back through this in the DMs, but he talks about inviting me to the meeting. I do accept the invitation to the meeting. But then they have a meeting before, I guess, our meeting was supposed to take place, and this all happens. When he responds to me, and says, "Hey, there are these concerns." He does say, like, "I was trying to stick up for you," and for what that's worth, I do appreciate that. But we'll continue. But I think if you expect, I'll go into it in a minute. We'll keep
no
watching.
voice standing up and saying, well, he's got this going on, he's got that going on, and they just wouldn't have any of it. So I said, all right, look, what I'll do is I will highlight some of these concerns to Emperor AP, to Aeternia, and what we'll do is I'll suggest that we have a meeting, all of us together, and we'll hash this out. We'll discuss it. We'll see, make sure we're all on the same page, make sure we iron out the details as to how this is going to work, make sure that there's no confusion as to who wants what, and all that. And so the meeting was completed. Fine. I sent a message to Emperor EP, and that's when things started to really kick off. So the message that I sent to Emperor EP was it was relatively long, but it was also quite concise in the sense that a lot of the message was going, don't worry, this is not an attack on you, this is not an attack on Aeternia. What it is that the associated and observer states within Stomaria are concerned about what this alliance really is. They're concerned about what Aeternia really is. They just need a bit of reassurance that what we're getting into isn't going to affect us in a negative way. And I reiterate it again and again. Don't worry, this isn't an attack on you. I'm looking to build this relationship. I'm looking to build this friendship. We just need to make sure that all of these details are ironed out. And I listed 4 points that were highlighted at the meeting. And the points were, first and foremost, this trade agreement. This has been going on for 4 months now. Where are we standing with this? If you're looking to build an actual trading relationship with us, we can't operate like this. We can't operate with this open-ended, I'll get to you at some point sort of way of doing things. We need to conclude this, and then we need to think of a way to make this more efficient going forward. The second issue was that a lot of the micronations were concerned about Aeternia's stance in trying to build a homogenous micronation, a homogenous cultural micronation, that is to say, in the sense that they believed that Aeternia's position, where micronations should effectively be dissolved and the micronationalists should simply be incorporated into Aeternia to build one micronation, to build one cultural identity. The Empire of Stomaria.
The Empire of Stomaria has several ads throughout this video, but we're going to give them the ad revenue.
We're obviously a micronation of micronations. We encourage cultural diversity. We encourage each micronation's own identity, and we don't try to lessen that. We're simply unified by our, some of our common held beliefs in the pursuit of reducing reliance on the micronations that we're a part of, in building a trade network, in sort of building those communities, and that's what ties us all together. Now, so that was one of the other points. The third point was that a lot of the early content, as I mentioned before, was quite meme-like. It was very cringy.
But that was never brought up until this point. Like, that's one of the things that's weird, right? Is that, like, why say that you enjoy the content is that when we initially start developing relations and then come back later and be like, it was garbage and it was meme. It hurts.
Reassurance, even though they did acknowledge that some of the content that he posts now was a lot more sort of mature, a lot more level-headed, a lot more rational, and a bit more in line with what we strive to do. A lot of his earlier content was not, and they just needed reassurance that, are you serious about this? Is this?
But what does that mean? They're saying content that you put out previously does not align with the way that we operate in Stomaria. So then I guess they're asking for reassurance that I won't do something like creative, like I won't do something that is different than what they want in a video, if it were relating to them, or if it were, once we were identified and associated with each other as micronations. I don't understand how that can be expected.
Because if anyone was to watch half of the content on Aeternia's YouTube channel, then they would think that it wasn't, frankly.
Wait.
Half of the content on Aeternia's YouTube channel, then they would think that it wasn't.
What does that mean, though? Over half of the content on our YouTube channel are live streams. They're live streams talking with community members, talking with people who are citizens, trying to connect with people who have monetarily supported us, who have supported us in creating content on this channel, who have helped to grow our community on Discord. This is the way that we interact with our people for the most part. We've been fortunate enough to be able to visit a few and have a few visit us, but for the most part, it's through videos like this. So if that's the thing that's unprofessional, I don't understand how, because it is my way to communicate with you all. The way that I act, my personality, I can't help. And it's certainly something that I wouldn't want to. I don't want to feign something. I don't want to put on a persona. This is who I am.
Frankly. And then finally, there was just the issue of, you want to trade a relationship with us, that's absolutely fine, but we're a bit concerned about the cost-effective nature of this. It's understandable. They're in the United States, we're in the UK, international postage, all that jazz. As a token basis, it's fine. But as a long-term trade agreement, if we want copper ingots, we can buy copper ingots either from micronations in the UK or just from the UK itself. I mean, the idea obviously is to reduce reliance on the micronation itself. But if you're going to be paying 50 times the copper's worth in postage and packaging and all the rest of it, then it's not really economical in any.
I completely agree with that. Postage to and from the United Kingdom to the United States is expensive, and we'll get into that in a moment.
Since the word, there are limits to how deficient the sort of the trading relationship is before it just becomes impossible to maintain. So those were the 4 points highlighted. Now, the response. I was expecting something along the lines of, yeah, no problem, Andrew. We'll hash it out. Keen to make this work, so on and so forth. I did not get that response. What I got was a message which basically scoffed at the very idea that Aeternia would have to justify itself to Stomaria or to
Yes. Yes. Well, we're going to continue, but yes.
the Stomarians that are involved in the project. The comments that was, I believe, repeated is that he found these questions, this approach, to be very hurtful to him. And he finished off, not once mentioning the trade agreement, the completion of this trade agreement, the conclusion of this trade agreement. He didn't mention that at all in his response. But he just finished off with saying, I wish you all well for the future. His message, his response to these queries, these legitimate concerns, was to sever ties with...
No, I never severed ties. But we're going to continue. We're going to read the actual messages.
Stomaria, to break off relations with Stomaria.
I never did that.
And
Ad. All this Stomarian ad revenue.
I was initially surprised, then disappointed, then quite angry, because I feel like I'd just been conned. All this time, all this effort, all these financial resources, all these sort of merchandise that I provided to Aeternia and gotten very little in return, and he's just walked off because some legitimate concerns that have been highlighted upset him. Now, I am not one for confrontation. I don't like it. I don't like, as I said, I don't like beef. I don't like hostilities. I don't like drama. And so I said, right, fine. If you want to walk away, walk away. But this trade agreement needs to be concluded. I cannot leave this open-ended because this has been going on for long enough and I'm tired of playing games.
And I imagine he's going to continue with my response, which shows I was not breaking off any relations. If I had it, we wouldn't. I don't know.
This package has to be sent.
We
Please
wouldn't
tell me
talk.
when it can be sent. And his response to that was, I'm not going to be held to a deadline. I'll send it when I'm ready to send it.
With context for that, I had been saying that for many messages prior and explaining the reasoning behind it, and explaining the reasoning behind it in videos as well.
And that aggravated me further, and the micronations involved in Stomaria further. Because at this point, he's saying, I will honour this trade agreement whenever I choose.
Yes, because those were in the loose terms of the trade agreement. We never had a deadline, so why would...
And I'm not even... this isn't even an exaggeration. I will post, if need be, screenshots of this entire conversation.
We will go through them as well.
There are any people who would doubt it. I don't typically like doing things like that because I like to think that when I have private conversations with someone, they stay private. But this is something different. This is necessary in order for me to make our position clear, to make our condemnation of Aeternia justifiable. This is something that has happened. Now, I tried again, about 4 or 5 days later. I said, look, I need to have this trade debacle sorted. And I said, forget about Aeternia merchandise. Forget about the ingots. If it's not ready, fine. I don't care. I don't want them. Just send back our stater, send back our merchandise. And he said, again, he said no. He said, I don't have the money. And he initially said, I don't have the time to make these artifacts. But they're already finished.
No, we're gonna go back into the thing, but I said I didn't have the time or money to finish them. And then whenever pressed about just sending back the things, I said I don't have the money to send them. You don't understand. But we'll continue.
And then he said, I don't have the money to send the package. Now, keep in mind, and this is something I haven't touched on yet, but keep in mind, during the entirety of this time, Emperor AP has done, in terms of time, has done live streams about the relations, the breakdown of relations between Dracul and Cyclodia. He made, I don't know, it must have been 6 or 7 hours of footage, live stream footage about this, because that needed to take priority over concluding this trade agreement.
I took that time out because I had been in contact with the leader of Cyclodia, a trans woman, who felt she was being attacked for her identity in this community. And I felt that it was my responsibility to discuss, one, that that's not okay, and two, to hear both sides of the issue, because I didn't just want to make a blanket statement and say, oh, well, this is bad and whatever. I wanted to have the other side heard. I did videos with Christina, I did videos with the leader of Dracul, and I did a final summary video of my thoughts. Those were the videos that I did, which probably did take up about 6 hours of live stream content. But for something that's near and dear to my heart, for something that I feel like is incredibly important. But we'll continue.
He purchased for $10,000 or $12,000 or something to that effect land, but he didn't have the money to send us our package.
And I will explain that as well. 100%. You're... Matt says, is Stomaria being for real right now, or is this for content and views? No, this is 100% real. The things that he's saying, the timeline that he's depicting, some of the general tone of all the messages is correct, but I would like to explain some things which I have explained without going into exact detail as to what they were to Emperor Andrew. And when I show you the messages, I will be further explaining my position on them and showing I did not sever relations. I have always been trying to keep to this agreement and have just explained every single time I was asked that this has become a further and further issue for me. Something I've been trying to clarify and that I apologized about, but something that I nevertheless did not want to be held to terms which I never agreed to on, specifically a deadline. But we will get into that.
And I told him, in no uncertain terms, what you have done is show nothing but a blatant disrespect to us. Instead of concluding this trade agreement in good time, what you have done is you have pushed us so far down the list that everything else has taken precedence. Aeternia has taken precedence over concluding the debt that you've done.
Aeternia has taken precedence over other stuff. Yes, because do you know what Aeternia is? Aeternia is myself, that the channel started from, that the nation started from. Aeternia is Tiffany and her well-being, to some extent, as connected to me, as having invested a lot in this, even though she doesn't identify herself as a citizen. As well, there are people who have supported us for a long time who are actively supporting us and hoping to help us gain things that became crucially necessary at this point. But I will continue with that in a moment. I feel like when this comes out, you will when we go over the details, you'll understand. And the thing that is most disappointing is that conversation, the concept that, well, now that this hasn't been delivered, this is a debt to us, you owe us, and this is something which now, because of your not agreeing to our timeline, is something, a debt which you can never repay, which you have permanently scorched Aeternia's name in our memory about. That's something that hurts because I've always tried to keep to this agreement. The agreement that we had, I have always held of the standards to. I have even tried to improve on it, but
Now, again, just to reiterate, all of these updates over the course of the months, I had to initiate. You never told me anything about
never is not true. Very few times is more accurate.
the package unless I asked about it.
Mhm.
And in the meantime, he's spending, in excess of $10,000 on this plot of land. He's spending 6-7 hours, or whatever it is, having these conversations about two micronations that he has absolutely no association or affiliation with.
But that's not true. I had been connected to Psycholia for some time through our Discord and through Twitter. And I had known of Dracul for some time as I follow their Twitter. And
He has as many hours, I think, of him digging a hole in the middle of a random wood and saying that this is a test for one of his shelters. I mean,
correct.
from the outside looking in, this appears just to be a con. Now that the sort of veil of me trying to justify Aeternia's decisions, now that the veil of trying to establish a genuine relationship with a micronation and a micronationalist, which I thought was serious, which I thought was genuine, which I thought was honest, which I thought was transparent, now that that's gone, I can see it. It was a way of extracting what they could from Stomaria in terms of publicity, in terms of artwork, in terms of merchandise.
I created more content about Stomaria than Stomaria created about us. I don't understand where this is coming from.
Prestige, I suppose, but then giving nothing back. And again, this is the reason for this condemnation. This is the reason that I'm making this video. Because what Emperor AP has done is effectively stolen our merchandise, stolen our status,
We've stolen. I've stolen, not we. Aeternia is separate for the. He's specifically regarding me. He's saying I have stolen.
refused to send their package to us in good time, or even set some sort of approximate date where it would be sent.
Because that's the standard for it. He's saying because they refused to set a date, because I refused to set a date, that I stole.
And then they just walked off. And that's all it is. He was quite prepared to walk away without concluding this. And it was only
I never said that.
when I highlighted the fact that it needed to be concluded that he even responded. And when he responded, he said, I'll send it whenever. So we look forward to receiving the package in 2037, because that'd probably be a good time when he will be...
No, you can't say I look forward to receiving the package in 2037. When you refuse it, you told me not to send anything. But, okay.
ready to send the package. Because we're a bit, it really, really has bothered me. Like, more than I thought it would. A lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of financial resources that has been allocated to the promotion of Aeternia. And
how much though?
They walked away because we had genuine concerns that were just brushed aside, dismissed out of hand. And yeah, I think this is not just a warning for anyone that wants to deal with Aeternia in that way, but this is a warning for micronations that are looking to build real-world relationships. Because this is the first time this has ever happened to us, but it won't be the last time it happens to someone else. If you are prepared to send merchandise or financial resources or whatever else to another micronation, make sure what you are doing is airtight. Make sure it's all above board. Make sure there are, if necessary, legal ramifications for a breakdown of that relationship, be it a trading relationship or the purchase of something, whatever it may be, because this has irked me in a big way. I just feel like I've been conned, and I feel an idiot for it. But yeah, this video has gone on longer than I wanted it to, but I just wanted to make it as clear as I can that the final message that I sent to Emperor AP was that you have taken advantage of our goodwill. You have ruined Aeternia's image for us.
Mhm.
And I don't want to receive any of your packages anymore. I don't want for you to send our merchandise back. I don't want you to send our merchandise. What you are doing is you are playing games. You are delaying things. You're continuing this open-ended, I will get to you whenever I fancy it sort of attitude, and you are making a mockery of the entire process. So keep the merchandise, but we will be making a statement about this. We will be exposing this to as many micronations and micronationalists as possible, and that is what we are doing here. So if you want to show support to the Stomarian community, if you want to become a part of the Stomarian community, then please feel free to do so through our Patreon campaign, the link of which I shall leave in the description below as always. There is also the details of the other micronations involved in Stomaria in the description, and I would encourage you to go and look at and even join those micronations if they are preferable to you. Otherwise, if you did enjoy this video, then please feel free to give it a like, YouTube channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Okay, perfect. And that's the conclusion of the video. So, I will reiterate what Emperor Andrew of Stomaria said there. Go support them, go check them out. I think that the way that Stomaria is structured is good. I think the way that they handle citizenship, from what I've understood, from what I've seen from the outside, seems like they're a good community. So definitely go and check them out and support them. But I do want to respond to the things that have been brought up about it. I'm going to show some Discord messages, but I want to make sure that before I do, I stop at the point where like information is shown, because I'm going to go back to approximately when the package was sent, but there was address information and stuff that was sent, so I want to make sure that I do not show anything revealing in the video. So I think this concludes where that is, and we'll start from December 1st of 2021. Now I want to give a little bit of context for what this is. So these are the pictures that I sent to Emperor Andrew when he requested for me to send him some for a portrait to be made. Again, I was honored by that. That's very thoughtful. That was not something that we had really, that was a part of a trade deal. It just seemed like something that they wanted to do, which, again, very thoughtful. Prior to this, let me explain up to this point, up to December 1st of 2021, what was happening in my life. So in August of 2021, right as the school year for my senior year as an undergraduate pursuing a physics degree started to begin, I had to relocate my father to be closer to me. My father, after my mother passed back in 2017, my father being 19 years older than my mother, my father being near his 80s at this point, in his late 70s, really was having difficulties. He has diabetes. He was having particularly severe issues with those diabetes, and I was worried about having him live alone. So I moved him from one side of the state to the other to make sure that he could be closer to me, and moved him into the same apartment complex that Tiffany and I were living in at the time, where many of the videos that you see from around this time period are in. However, as things started to go, my father, it took him some time as an older man to find a job here. It was a struggle for him to get financially stable, and so I was supporting him as much as I could with the money that I get as a living allowance for attending university, taking out loans and using those loans to pay my way through school, not only um, for my um, for my tuition and my books, but also for my living expenses, like having an apartment, like paying for my phone bill and my food and things like that, as well as a small part-time job that I had at the school that I put as many hours as I could into when I wasn't actively pursuing my studies. So that around December, we had gotten to the point where Tiffany and I's lease was almost up. It ended in the beginning of January, and so we were actively trying to prepare to sign a new lease. This was something again after fin- finally getting my father onto his feet. After the worries that we had and getting him set up in an apartment, which took till you know. Uh, October, November, before he could get into an apartment in the complex that we were in, um, uh, it was just difficult. So around this time in December, Tiffany and I were trying to save all the money that we could, trying to study as hard as we could because we were going through finals, and trying to ensure that we were prepared to move into our next lease agreement with this apartment. Okay, so let me move away. So I say, hey, the package has arrived, all this stuff. I appreciate it. He sends me images of the artwork that's done. And then he says, hold that actually, the details in your face aren't as good as they could be, so I'll add some more detail. And then he says, there's the final version. Feel free to use it and amend it however you wish. You can crop yourself out to use it in your profile. You can crop yourself out to use it in your profile, for instance. And I definitely appreciate it. It was very thoughtful. And then there was a stream where we talked a lot about like communism. Um, I replied back and forth to that. And just, he shared on a live stream his opposition to communist ideologies, and I was saying, because I had made a reaction to a video he made about saying that communist micronations are bad, and I was saying, you shouldn't take a stance against an entire like ideology like that. But I understand what you're saying. One that isn't specifically definitionally defined as hateful. So on the first uh, uh, of excuse me in 20 on the 22nd of January in 2021, he did reach out to me after we'd had that conversation. That was at the end of December, day after Christmas. He said, "Hello, Emperor AP. I trust you're keeping well. I just wanted to ask when you think that package will be sending will be prepared and ready for shipment." In between that conversation that we had on the 26th of December, where we were talking about communism and stuff, and the 22nd of January, I had to move out of that apartment complex. Tiffany and I realized when we were going to sign our new lease that they had increased our rent from about $800 a month to like $1,300 a month. That was an incredibly steep change and one that we couldn't afford. I, at the time, was having to pay our rent every month. Tiffany needed to save her finances and wanted to rebuild her finances. So I was paying for most everything that we did, except for I think our utility bills. Tiffany paid our utility bills, but I was trying to support my father as best I could, but he had gotten a job, so that was a little bit easier. Other than that, though, I was paying our rent at that time. And so my intention was, okay, well, uh, it's, uh, it has been uh, quite, um, quite difficult to pay things already. I'm not sure that I can continue to do that because at the time, during um, during that December, I had, I think, around a little more than $5,000 in the bank, And I knew that I could not make it through to our next lease, or potentially even to the end of our school year during, starting January, ending, May or June. I was worried that there would be no way that I could cover all of our expenses and still have money. I get one lump sum of money at the beginning of a year to last throughout that entire year. And because I will be graduating in the next few weeks, I won't get another one of those. I just have to have a job. And so I was worried about depleting all of our finances. I talked to Tiffany about it. She agreed that it wasn't affordable for us anymore. So even though my dad had just signed a lease at a more reasonable agreement at around $800 a month, I and Tiffany and I should say, had to move out. So we ended up where we are now, which is back with Tiffany's parents. I'm actively having to be supported to some extent by Tiffany's family in order to have a place to live currently. I could live with my dad in his one-bedroom apartment, but with his needs and trying to take care of him, I don't think that would work out very well. I think I would be a drain on his resources significantly. Um, that being the case, I'm currently effectively homeless. I have purchased a piece of land which I hope to make into a home for us, something that I have kind of a last ditch effort in doing, but I will explain that in a moment. The connection to all of this and why I've given you all this long explanation of, oh, his dad was sick and oh, we had to move him up and oh, this excuses, is because during this entire time, I had been, up until December, I had been slowly creating things for Stomaria, and I had been taking pictures and sending him pictures. If I can go back and show this without doxing and giving information away. Okay, there we go. Okay. So, I sent him on sep- uh, November 27th, 2021. Half complete. Also, I'm sorry your search has not gone as planned. What do you hope to do with the land? And then I gave my PO box and stuff. Um, let me go back a little bit more. So I was saying, hey, I had done that. Um, as well, this was another thing where I was just saying like, hey, I right after sending that saying, hey, I'm still trying to get you like the pictures that you asked for, which were the ones that you guys saw earlier, because it just took us time with everything that was going on in November, December, where we were trying to start figuring out what we were going to do with our new lease, where we were like trying to take care of my dad. I just things took time, especially with my schooling, and so this was a big issue. Um, Real quick, I want to go up a little bit. Um, because I want to. Okay, so in the part of the video where he talks about, this is jumping around a little bit. In the video where he talks about, and let me see if I can bring this closer so people can see it because I just realized people hadn't been able to see this. In the video where he talks about, in the part of the video where he says, they said I wouldn't let them upload the thing to their channel. He says, "Hi, Emperor AP. I hope you're keeping well. I wanted to ask if you'd be happy for us to publish the interview that we had on our YouTube channel. Very few of our followers saw the video due to the usual issues with Facebook algorithm, and we'd like more of our followers on YouTube to see it. Of course, if you'd rather us not publish the interview on our channel, then please let me know." To which I replied, "Hey, Emperor Andrew, it would mean a lot to me if instead of re-uploading the video on your channel, you encourage your Facebook and YouTube followers to check out the video on our channel. That way they get the experience and our channel gets to maintain its unique content. However, if you would like to do a video for your channel, please let me know. I have been thinking over an idea for another collaboration that would be cool to do as well." And then we continue talking. let me see where we start to talk about the trade deal because I think it was earlier than that. Okay. Do we have like specific information? Let me see. So the only thing I can find really talking about, I'll say this first off. I, I'll go back and check through the emails, um, but I don't think we have any connection on the Discord that talks specifically about the trade agreement. We either did that in a meeting or we did it through email, and I can go back and check the email, but the the only thing that I have on it is, let me see. Hmm. Yeah, so he says on um, October 16th, 2021, no problem at all, AP. I have a few more videos scheduled for the coming weeks, and we'll hopefully have an update on the production of Stamarian Staters soon. So hopefully we'll be able to initiate our exchange before long. By the way, feel free to call me Andrew. You don't have to refer to me as Emperor every time if you prefer not to. And at that time, I had been just calling him Emperor Andrew. But yeah, so that's the only thing that I have specifically saying like anything about this is we have a trade deal. Um, and he calls it our exchange. So I there wasn't any formal paperwork that was created on this. I think our conversation just went something to the effect of, we could send you some Stamarian staters, and you could send us something. It might have been in our interview that we talked about it. That might have been the place where we did it, or maybe in a conversation afterward. But uh, we talked about that, and I said, hey, I can send you some copper from Aeternia as well. But I thought this was, and I believe it was intended this way, to be an initial starting introduction to relations between the two of us. That once we could do something like that, that um, it would be the inciting incident to open the doors for further relations, for further communication. And the way that Emperor Andrew talks about it on the video seems like that's his thought process as well. But we never specified a timeline with that. We never said, hey, Emperor Andrew, you're going to be sending this at some time. Emperor AP, you're going to be sending this at some time. If I knew that were the case, if I thought that, hey, he's going to like need to expect this in a particular time, or oh, hey, he's going to like send his thing and then be like watching the clock for when you send yours, I would have either one, asked them, hey, don't send it until we're ready to send ours, or two, I would have just said, hey, can we like wait and do it later? But that's here and there at this point. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. I showed him stuff from the ingots. He says, I said, half complete. Sorry your search is not going with plan because they were talking about looking for land at this point. And so they ask what the size of the PO box is, and I tell them a little bit about that. Um, and so then I send him those pictures. Let me make sure there's no more like doxing info. Yeah, okay. Um, And he says I didn't say thank you for the things, but I said thank you for the initial thing. I didn't say thank you after that because during this time period, December 20th, finals, getting, leaving our apartment and trying to set things up. Uh, In that entire time as well, as was mentioned in the video, I was not able to fulfill any orders for the Imperial market. So there were people who had expected deliveries that were late that I had to like continually reach out to and be like, I'm sorry that your delivery is so late. We're having to like get this thing that you paid us money for through Etsy and make it for you and send it out, but I can't do it right now. My life is turned upside down and I'm having to like work on that. So I had been actively expressing that. And I do in without saying that specifically to Emperor Andrew. But we will continue, and I will show you that. This is Emperor Andrew's discussion on communism. We go back and forth about that. Okay. December 1, January 22nd, 2022. Hello, Emperor AP. I trust you're keeping well. I just wanted to ask when you think that package you'll be sending will be prepared and ready for shipment. I responded, Hello, Emperor Andrew. I'm sorry I've been so distant recently, and I hope that hasn't caused any strain in our nation's relations. I am currently in full swing for my last semester of my bachelor's and in the middle of a move, so I've been hunkered down and unable to do much micronationally. I was able to stream last night only because it was an issue that I felt was relatively urgent, but even that I didn't have time. That I didn't have time to do justice. Currently, my plan is to finish the Imperial market orders, which have backed up, and get them sent out, then to finish your package. The last few times we talked, I gave you an ETA, and each time of which I fully intended to uphold, but fell short of repeatedly. I don't want to make a promise that I know I'm unable to guarantee at this point, so I won't define another deadline. But I assure you, I am still sitting with the majority of it completed, hoping to finish the last bits as soon as possible. Which is true. I still have it majority completed. I have always intended to keep to this agreement, but it wasn't something that I could displace my life over. It wasn't something that I could like take risks on like money that I need to feed myself and the people that I care for. It doesn't make sense. Let me continue. Um, If there's anything I can do for you or Stomaria, time, please let me know. I may not have much time on my hands, but maybe there is something I can do to help. So in this, I say, hey, I'm sorry. I have not been able to keep my own deadlines that I've set and on like when I think approximately it'll be done. Because I'd set like a general ETA. I think it's supposed to be done like in a month. Hopefully we'll get it done by the end of the year. And then the end of the year hit and I became homeless to some effect. Not that I was sleeping on the streets, but that I did not have an owned place or a rented place to stay. I am having to, and I'm currently staying with Tiffany's family, who have been very, very kind to me, and I am incredibly grateful for that. It's been I've overstayed my welcome significantly, but that being the case, I said the last few times we have talked, I gave you an ETA, but and I say if there's anything I can do for you or Stomaria in the meantime, please let me know. I may not have much time on my hands, but maybe there's something I can do to help. I wanted to try and resolve it in some way. I wanted to say, hey, if there's anything that I can do, I know I can't do this right now, and I'm sorry that I can't do this. I understand the frustration, but if there's anything else I can do, please let me know. I want to try and do it. As well, did you realize this scenario? Yep. So we talk about shop names and stuff. He reaches out to me again on February 19th, 2022, about a month. He checks in about every month at this point. He says, Hello, Emperor AP. I hope you're keeping well. I know you have your studies and house move going on at the moment, but as I haven't seen any updates for some time, I wanted to check in to make sure everything was all right. I reach out to him and I say, Hello, Emperor Andrew. My studies have been exactly the delay. With it being my last semester in prep for grad school, I've been doing everything I can to make sure I end my degree on a high note. Other than that, Aeternia is still doing well, just moving slowly. We are trying to get out paid orders that have been in front of the finalizing of your care package for a while now, and then on to yours. That is why I said last time we spoke, I didn't want to give you any specific time period as to the delay, because with things so backed up, I cannot guarantee any reliable schedule. Other than the delays on our end, I hope Stomaria is doing well. I know I've seen more and more about your new alliance, and I'm wishing you both the best in your local development. Thank you very much for your support, and I'm excited to hear about your goals and progresses. So then he says, personal life often has to take precedent. Hope all goes well for your final push. So in this, I take to mean, I hope everything goes well for you, like pushing to the end of the semester, because that's really what I'm explaining. In February, I'm saying my studies have been the delay, which is still in this semester. I'm still actively working and studying and trying to uh, hold on to the money that I have, the little bit of money that I'm having to spend on food and everything else that's kind of draining my bank account. But I still, I still 100% am like, I appreciate it. I'm sorry there's so much delay. I'm excited for you all. And he says, I hope everything goes well for your final push. So that indicates to me, don't worry about it. It's fine. Take your time. Focus on your schoolwork. So I did that. He reaches out to me in March 20th. Again, about a month. Hello, Emperor AP. I just saw one of your more recent videos and wanted to wish you luck on your new land purchase. I'm very excited to see what you do with it over the coming years. He doesn't mention um, uh, the package at all. I mention the package. I reach out to him at this point and I say, thank you, Emperor Andrew. I'm incredibly lucky to be able to do it, but it still feels like I'm playing catch up on a lot of things. I appreciate you being in touch with me and our nation, and I hope to continue to develop further ties between our nations as things continue. After all, I still have that package to send you. How's Stomaria been? It seems you all have gathered a group of supporting states and nations local to you, which I'm sure has been providing a boost to Stomaria. He says, I'm sure you'll get all of your ducks in a row before long. It's just a case of getting your priorities straight, I suppose. And for me, my priorities are making sure that I have my father taken care of, that my that my um, well-being is taken care of, that I have a place to stay, and that I have food to eat, that Tiffany's well-being is taken care of, and this this is keeping my priorities straight, and I try to explain that as this continues. He explains some more about that. He says, I look forward to receiving the package as and when it's ready to go, and building closer ties with Aeternia is something that remains of interest, is certainly something that remains of interest to us. So he says, yeah, whenever it's ready, I'm excited for it, which keeps indicating to me it's okay. Whenever you get to it. And I appreciate that. I say, he reaches out to me in April 2nd. Hello, Emperor AP, which is this month. It's April 18th currently. He says, hello, Emperor AP. I trust you're keeping well. I'm aware that you're busying yourself with your recent land purchase, which is great to see, and I look forward to watching it develop over the coming years, as he said in the previous message, and I appreciate a lot. But I wanted to get a bit more clarity on when we might be able to conclude that initial trade deal that's now been going on for some 4 months. We've been keen to foster more formal relations with Aeternia, with various micronations that now make up the Empire of Stomaria also wishing for clarity on the relationship, with the opinion that collaborative content between Stomaria and Aeternia would be potentially beneficial for all parties. Along with Waywood, Norwick, Moorland, and Silesia forming a part of Stomaria's empire, we'll be reaching out to 2 other micronations, not including Aeternia, in order to build closer ties as allies and trade partners. So in short, I need to know if this is something you're still interested in pursuing. Understandable. I reached out to him and I said, hello, Emperor Andrew. I certainly do still want to pursue closer ties with Stomaria. However, with the end of my final semester of undergrad approaching, along with the necessity of my working on the land for Tiffany and I to have a place to live, as I said previously, I do not want to give specific quote as to when I would be able to complete that trade deal. I understand that you now have more people to account to, and I am certain that this situation must be frustrating, or at least a little taxing to you all. But I hope you can understand that right now I and Aeternia are stretched thin on time and money. If my tardiness in this development has soured our connection, I would like to apologize for my lack of attentiveness toward our working relationship. I still haven't been able to catch up on everything Stomaria has been doing, and while I'm certainly excited for you all, I'm not sure the best way I can help repair relations until I get the money to send you out your package. Other than that, if there's still something you have planned between our nations that I am actively holding up, please let me know so I can at least keep ensuring to check in and reopen the dialogue. So I'm like, hey, if there's a big thing, like hit me up and just tell me the big thing. I explained to him previously, hey, I have financial obligations that I have to meet first. I don't have the money to do this right now. He then reaches out and says, I understand, I'm excited for your land purchase. I say the land purchase is based on uh, having a place for Tiffany and I to live. It's a necessity. I don't have money. In the video that I made on the land purchase, it's not like a braggadocious, we got land, haha, we're like doing so good. It's I had to spend all the money in my bank account in order to purchase land. I had technically a very small amount of money left over, literally in the hundreds of dollars, which I actively still have in my bank account today, to make sure that I have food and to make sure that if my car breaks down that I'm okay, and to make sure that I have gasoline in my car to be able to commute back and forth to school, which is like a 45-minute drive. It I am doing everything that I can to be able to maintain and keep my head above water financially. And I'm trying to explain that to Emperor Andrew here well before they bring up any concern. These messages are still within the time frame and still within the expression from Stomaria that everything is okay, everything's perfectly fine. They don't even bring up the conversation. They don't even bring up a meeting yet. This is all before that, where I say twice in the same message. Let me see. I hope you can understand that right now I and Aeternia are stretched thin on time and money. And then at the end of that, I say, um, I still haven't been able to catch up on everything Stamaria's been doing. While I'm certainly excited for you all, I'm not sure the best way I can help repair relations until I get the money to send out your package. I'm like, I have a money problem. I can't send you anything until I have money for it. But I'm actively planning on doing that. And I let him know that. He said to me the same day, he said, that's no problem at all. I just need clarity on this, as I've been asked about what's happening with Aeternia. We're currently reaching out to two other micronations, along with Waywood, Norwick, Moreland, and Silesia. We hope will start to solidify a block of micronations with similar values, objectives, and aspirations. If you haven't already seen it, our latest video is something you might enjoy. We're currently looking at recording one of our monthly video calls, myself, Raul, Alexander, and Neem, with YouTube and Facebook Lives currently being discussed. The suggestion that Aeternia be involved in some way was raised this morning, hence the message. If you'd like to take part in some way, do let me know. So he's like, do you want to have like this meeting? And I'm like, yes, 100%. I do want to have this meeting. I'm excited to have a meeting with you all. I'm excited to talk to you about it. I say, hello, Emperor Andrew. I would certainly be excited to participate in the event in any way I can. Currently, my school and work schedule is quite busy, so the more in advance you can tell me the schedule, the more I can prepare to be there. As well, are there any particular ways I can contribute or topics that are planned to discuss? Thank you for your invitation and continued support of us. Every single time every single time he has brought up a concern to me, I've said, hey, I completely understand. I'm sorry about that. With the delay specifically, that's the only thing he's brought up is like, hey, what about the package? And I'm like, hey, here's the problem. I don't have money to send you out the package. Also, I'm short on time because it's the middle, getting toward the end of the semester at that point. Well, no, toward the end. It's this month, toward the end of the semester at that point. Um, and so, in every single previous message, I had been told by him, this is okay. I'm excited to see the package when it comes. I am excited to, uh, I am excited to see you continue that. Take care of what you need to do. Um, and so I figure, okay, he understands. He says, good luck with your big push. Like keep working towards your big push. So I'm like, oh, okay. At the end of the semester, I can like figure things out, and, like try and work. I thought things were okay. Um, his reply after that was on April 4th, 2022, where I said, I'd certainly be excited to help in any way that I can. I'm busy, so if you can let me know, I would appreciate it. Are there any ways I can contribute? Without him mentioning any problem outside of the trade agreement, I asked several times, hey, is there anything else I can do? I understand this is a sore subject. I come out and say it before they say it. I understand this must be frustrating. I understand this must be difficult. But if there's something else I can do, please let me know. please allow me a way to continue to pursue things while I have to wait on being able to send you out this package. He responds on the 7th, 3 days later. Hello, Emperor AP. Apologies for the late reply. I've just had a video call / meeting with Queen Nima of Cilicia, King Rahl of Waywood, and Prince Alexander of Moorland, all of which form part of Stomaria's empire. Which, before we begin, I would like to say, they already invited me to a meeting at that point, which he says, uh, um, he says, hey, we want to invite you to this meeting. And in the video, he says, well, we had a meeting to see if we wanted to invite him to the meeting, but they already invited me to the meeting, so it feels weird. Why didn't they just include me in that meeting that they were having so that I could have then discussed things there when the issues were brought up? But they didn't. They had a different meeting and then came back to me with concerns. And this was the first time that I had heard of it. Uh, so they said, hello, Emperor AP. Apologies for the late reply. I've just had a video call with all those people, all of which form Stomaria's empire. Aeternia was, quite frankly, a fairly heated topic during the meeting, with grave reservations about the pursuit of formal relations with Aeternia, despite my own defense of your project. Which he does say. A few notable concerns were as follows. 1. Aeternia has failed to deliver on its commitment to conclude a trade deal in what might be considered reasonable time. So that's the thing. It's not that Aeternia canceled the agreement. It's not that Aeternia didn't uphold its side of the agreed upon terms. It's that Aeternia didn't do it in a time that was convenient for us. They didn't do it in a time frame that we consider reasonable, which is different than flat out revoking a trade agreement and pulling like they're saying it is. This was a source of ire for my colleagues, viewing it as extremely disrespectful and insulting despite my attempts to explain your situation with regards to moving home, your studies, and land purchase. So he tells them, hey, he's going through all this stuff, and they say, nah, it's not important. He should have sent us that thing already. So then the second point. The lack of professionalism in much of your early work was also highlighted, though it was acknowledged that your content had much improved since then. So part of their concerns, which I need to address, that they asked me to address at the end of this message is, why was your early work bad, effectively is what they're saying, or why was your early work not up to our standard? Which is hurtful in the development and creation of a country, in the development and creation of a community that starts with an individual person and branches off from there. Every single moment that that person is developing that is a part of the story. Their personality, the other people's personalities that come in, the variety of expressions that they have throughout that are all important and should be documented. Why would you put something that is a living community of human beings in like a bubble and in like a filter so that you only get out these perfectly neat little packaged, itemized events? I don't think that's the way that humans operate, and I would like to show a community of real human beings doing things that adapt and evolve over time, as our videos have. But they say it's improved much since then, so it fit their standards at a certain point. Your desire to create, their third concern, your desire to create an empire that consisted of a homogeneous cultural identity was seen as a complete contrast to that of the values held by Stomaria, with its focus on the establishment of an empire in which those micronations within it could express and promote their own cultures and identities freely. That is to say, your empire's structure and purpose is the antithesis of our own, which my colleagues don't feel that we should encourage. So in this message, he says, and I'll continue. I do want to say this point. In this particular point, in his third point in saying, well, this is everything that's wrong with Aeternia that is our concern, when I had previously been invited to a meeting, which I didn't have any, there weren't any concerns addressed up until that point other than, hey, we're just checking in on the state of our package, and then all of a sudden and talking about like having like videos done together. I'm like, hey, this is a chance for us to like do a thing since I've been late on the package. Okay. And so now they send a list of these are all the problems that we have with Aeternia right now. One of which is our culture, just directly. The way that we're founded, they're like, we shouldn't encourage the way that your micronation has existed, despite the fact that it very well could have, and I think has, existed. Hey everybody, this is from Stomaria saying that they encourage freedom, that they encourage, the right to self-expression, but that Eternia's expression and the way that it hopes to hold itself is the antithesis to them, and that they should not encourage that behavior. They're saying these are things we like in micronations, and this is what we're going to accept from micronations, and these are the things that we're not going to accept from micronations. But that's not how you should view communities of people. It it just hurts. It just hurts, and I don't understand why this happened. But we're going to continue. The reality that meaningful trade between Eternia and Stomaria wouldn't be cost effective or worthwhile was their fourth and final point. But I feel like this really shows a lack of understanding behind what Eternia's purpose is and how we are developing. Things that I've talked about numerous times on the channel, which it seems like have not gotten clear through to Stomaria. But I will continue to explain all of that after I finish reading the message. He said, I should stress that this isn't an attack when you or Aeternia for me or other Stomarians. It's simply a case that, before we could resume talks or building of a more formal relationship, they want to discuss with you directly what you hope to gain from this relationship and what you can offer Stomaria. As such, if you're at all interested, we can have a private video call / meeting with the five of us to iron out any issues that we have all had and either move forward with this or simply conclude the trade deal that we have and leave it at that. But to reiterate, please don't look at this as a form of hostilities in any shape or form. Those involved in Stomaria have a vested interest in its success, and their commitment and loyalty to our cause is far greater than even I had anticipated. They merely want it to succeed and dedicate time and resources to areas in which real-world benefit will be felt. At the moment, they just don't see Aeternia as a worthwhile pursuit, and I'd love for you to be able to change that perception if you are willing and able to do so. But that feels strange, right? To have somebody say, hey, do you want to come and, have a party at my friend's house? And you say, sure, I'd love to come to the party at your friend's house. And then they say, okay. And then they call you back and they say, hey, I just had a meeting with all of my friends, and they said the only way you can come to the party is if you meet these specific requirements. And if you tell us why you deserve to come to the party. Oh, but I thought you already invited me to the party. Well, yeah, but you have to specifically meet these requirements, and you need to make sure that everyone feels comfortable with who you are as a person and how you're conducting yourself in order for us to move forward. Even though we already did offer that, it feels strange and it feels hurtful and it feels like a change from what I would have uh, continued to um, understand the situation as at that point. All of which, by the way, I'm still actively dealing with. I'm still actively trying to ensure that my father's finances are taken care of as he ages. I'm still actively trying to make sure that he has a place to live, but we're going to talk about that in a moment and why it's relevant to the land purchase, which was so crucial at this junction. And it's just hurtful that no matter how much I tell them, hey, I'm sorry, I just don't have the money to send it right now. Let me figure something else out. Let's plan something else out. That they go, yeah, let's do it, but only if you justify why your previous stuff is bad and why you're antithetical to us and we shouldn't support you, and why um, uh, you your trade would not be effective or worthwhile. So our position at this point is that Eternia is not valuable to us. How do I take that information? Okay, well I thought differently. I clearly thought differently. So I respond on the 8th, the next day. Hello, Emperor Andrew. I hope you are doing well today. When you first reached out to me in 2019, you seemed to show a great enjoyment for what Eternia is and what we do, and I'm sad to hear that that perspective is not held by your colleagues. The content created on the Aeternia channel is about documenting our culture and people and has never swayed from that goal. It is very hurtful to me to have our way of life and history be measured on your personal metric of professionalism. I understand that you say this is not an attack on Aeternia, and I certainly don't perceive it that way. But it does feel like you are asking me to justify myself and my people to yours. If you and your people do not see value in working with mine, then of course there can be no value in it. I just recommend in the future that you all do not pursue working relationships in this way with other nations. They may find it quite hurtful, as I have. I wish you all well in your future endeavors. So what I'm saying in that statement, which is the statement that they take as Aeternia severed relations, because I said, I wish you all well in your future endeavors, what I am saying is, what you just told me hurt me. What you just said was, we don't see value in Aeternia, your previous stuff isn't good, and we and you haven't met the timeline that we expected when conducting a trade deal that didn't have terms based on a timeline. So then they say, now justify yourself to us. And I said, that's hurtful to me. I hope you don't do that when you continue pursuing relations with other nations. I hope that you do well in those future pursuits. I hope that it works better for you. And so then he responds, hello, Emperor AP. It is certainly the case. And in this next message, he doesn't say severing ties or anything like that. Um, he, I'll get to that in a second. He says, hello, Emperor AP. It's certainly the case that the leaders of the micronations involved in Stomaria do indeed need a justification for pursuing formal relations. Stomaria itself has always strived to build real-world relationships that had a genuine mutual benefit, and many within Stomaria are simply questioning whether or not that's likely to happen with Aeternia. I have never taken issue with various aspects of Aeternia that didn't necessarily align with our goals or image, but apparently he had. He had been taking issue with them the entire time. He just hadn't been telling us that that was the case. The only one time that he did was when he commented on a live stream that we had about his response to saying all communist micronations are bad. And when we tried to discuss that, we had a long discussion in our DMs in Discord. Other than that, there was not further explanation of that. There wasn't further talk on that. He didn't say, hey, I've been having problems about this. He says, I never took problems with that, even though he's saying in his video on, condemning Aeternia that he did. He says, I've never taken issue with it, with aspects of Aeternia that didn't necessarily align with our goals or image, but the micronations involved in Stomaria have taken a more hardline approach in ensuring that Stomaria retains its standard of professionalism as it expands and develops relations with other micronations. So that's what they're saying. They keep reiterating to me, you are not meeting our standards. You need to meet our standards. You need to do things by our rule book. And if you don't, then you're not professional. Then you are not behaving appropriately, then you're not a micronational. Like they're saying you're not really doing the same thing that we are. You're not the same as us. You're not as good as us if you don't follow this standard. Despite saying, hey, I don't have money to send you anything. I don't have the ability to do that right now. I'm sorry. Let's figure something else out. I want to wait and I want to extend that, but I don't want to say, I promise you it's going to be done at this time. I promise it's going to be done at this time when I didn't have a certainty on that. I didn't have a certainty in where I was going to live. I didn't have a certainty on whether I'd be able to take care of my father or not. I didn't have a certainty on much of anything at that point. And I certainly was not going to continue to say, oh, I'm going to certainly get you this package and send it to another country, which is quite expensive, in order to satisfy your timeline needs. He says further, if you don't wish to pursue this further, then that's fine. However, I must insist that this 4-month-long trade deal be concluded either by sending the previously agreed copper ingots or by returning the stater and merchandise if fulfilling this obligation is not possible or desired. So he says, okay, I think you don't want to continue relations, which he didn't ask about. He wasn't like, hey, is that what you meant? Is that the thing? He just goes, "You don't want to do that," which, okay. And then he says, "However, you need to send us stuff right now," despite the fact that I had continued to tell him, "I don't think this is appropriate. I don't think this is reasonable. I want to make sure that I get this done, but I want to make sure that I do so in a timeline that's reasonable to me when I have the finances to do so." And he was like, "No, no, you need to do it now. You need to either one, send us the copper ingots, or two, send us our stuff back," which both completely contradict the thing that I told him previously, which was, I don't have money to send a package. I don't have money to send a package. And he goes, "Okay, but you either send a package or send a package." And I'm like, I don't have money to send a package. And he goes, "That's not what you said." And it's, yes, it is what I said. I said it several times. Um, I said in response to that, "Emperor Andrew, I am happy to complete the agreement as promised, but I will do that in a manner that is reasonable for my schedule and do not want to rush handmade Aeternian artifacts," which is true. Everything that I do, everything that I sell on the Imperial market, everything that I send out to any micronational leader or any organization is either handmade by me directly 100% or handmade as a mixture between Tiffany and I. I could not guarantee a timeline for that, especially with the extenuating circumstances that I was under, which I talked about on the channel at the time, which I talked about to him without saying, "Hey, dude, homeless, don't, stop it, don't have money." He responds, "Hello, Emperor AP," and I did say I don't have money. He says, "Hello, Emperor AP. We've been nothing but patient for the conclusion of this agreement, but this open-ended, quote, 'we'll get to you whenever,' unquote, practice, I'm afraid, has run its course and is exactly why those in Stomaria were so heavily critical of relations with Aeternia. You stated on 9th December 2021 that the copper items you intended to send us had already been completed and that you were simply putting the finishing touches on the package, and that it would be sent out this coming week sometime. That was over 4 months ago," which, yes, was 100% correct. At that time, I did have the copper ingots completed, but I wanted to put other things in the package, and I was trying to develop those other things, and I didn't have the money to send them the thing, and I told them that I didn't have the money to send them the thing, and I told them that I didn't have time to be able to create the other things that I wanted to send them, and then put it in there and send it to them. I was having difficulty. And I continued to say that. And every single time they asked for an update, I continued to say, "Hey, I'm sorry. Look, it's going to be a week. Oh, it's going to be a month. It's going to be maybe by the end of the year." And then at that point, when I knew that wasn't going to happen, I was like, "Look, I'm sorry. I understand this is frustrating. I cannot commit to a deadline right now. I don't have the time or money to do so. I'm at a very critical junction in my life. I need to be able to take time to do this and do it in response to my own schedule and abilities. But I assure you that I am intending on fulfilling the promises that I did make. I didn't make any promises on when the time would be. I only tried in the initial agreement, in the thing that we actually did agree on initially, to get that. And whenever I did say something, I said, I think I will be able to get it to you around these times. All of those were wrong. All of those I apologized for. But that still doesn't mean that I ever pulled out of relations, which they did first by saying, "Hey, that's fine. We don't want connection with you. You need to send this stuff now, or not." But this is an absolutely unacceptable thing. Um, he says, "Hello, Emperor AP. We've been nothing but patient for the conclusion." That was over 4 months ago. "If you cannot give a definitive time frame for the completion of this agreement, which we find acceptable, then I'll provide you with the address that you can return the items we sent you. We've no desire to drag out this process any longer than it already has." So they're saying, we demand you give us a timeline, despite the fact that that was never agreed to in our initial terms. They said, now that you're not meeting our timeline, you have to send us a specific timeline that we find acceptable, and if you don't adhere to those rules, then you have to send us our our package back, which I again never agreed to. So it's a situation where, sure, I can do that, and I'm happy to do that, but I can't do it if I don't have the money to do it, which is the thing that I keep trying to explain and get through to them. And they continue to brush off. I replied, "Hello, Emperor Andrew. I understand and hear your concerns. However, because when we established this agreement there was no definitive time frame defined, I will not be held to one now. Regardless of your time frame needs, the circumstances of my time and finances do not allow me to send you anything right now. You may send the address you'd like your items returned to, and once I have completed your package, I will send both it and the rest of the items that you sent us back to you at that time." I said, "Hey, I'm perfectly sorry. I completely understand. I'm sorry that you're upset. I can't tell you a time because that's not fair for me to do, to continue to say, oh, I think it's going to be this time and this time and this time when I know I can't do it right then. So I'm not going to give you any guarantees, but I guarantee you that I will give you the package. I'm not going to give you any time guarantees. I will give you the package and your stuff back. I'll send it all back once I have the money to do so. But please understand, this is the fourth or fifth time I've told you I don't have the time or money to do so." He then replies, "Hello, Emperor AP. There was indeed no time frame specified in terms of deadline. However, before I sent the stater and merchandise, you told me back as far back as October 2021 that this was only a matter of weeks before the ingots were finished. Again, I did. But that was a miscalculation, and that was something that I apologized for. As already stated, when the stater and that he said was fine, like he said it was okay, it was understandable. He said, as already stated, when the stater and merchandise were sent and received in December, you'd already told me they were now ready and would be sent in the following week. Again, which I did, which I could not live up to, which I apologized for, and which he accepted my apology for, and said like he completely understood that it wasn't a problem, it wouldn't be a problem. My concerns for concluding this arrangement is not out of necessity but principle. What I was led to believe was going to be a transaction that would be started and concluded over the course of a few weeks has lasted over 4 months. He believed, though, that it would be started and ended within a few weeks. As I have been patient and understanding as I can be, but the fact of the matter is that an outstanding debt, which is in lieu of settling speedily or in good time, this is an outstanding debt which, in lieu of settling speedily or in good time, you've instead dedicated time and resources on other matters and pushed the conclusion of this arrangement further and further down the list. And says, hey, you just don't care about this at all, do you? This just doesn't matter to you at all. Why am I continuing to respond then? Why am I continuing to try and make plans? Why would I have apologized every single time? I don't understand what the logic of this is. Saying, you need to meet my demands. And I say, I'm sorry. I agreed to demands initially. I agreed to terms initially. But now that you're giving these demands, I want to do everything I can to meet them, but I have to do them in a time frame that's reasonable for me. And he says, no. No, you can't do that. That's unacceptable. You are breaking the thing that we want. I appreciate that life can sometimes throw a spanner in the works, and I've had more than a few in recent years, but the sheer length of this delay with no stated end date has to be had is an unacceptable way to handle such arrangement, micronational or otherwise. I disagree. If you explain to someone, I'm having difficulty with this thing, it's not reasonable for me to try and guarantee you a time frame when I would not be certain that I could uphold it, and I should stop doing this to you. And I should ensure to explain to you that I am certain I want to continue to do this and that I will continue to do this, but only when I have the time and money to do so, as being fair and open and honest about the situation. I then get told, you're not doing it in the way that we want to, and that's no way to handle this. He says this, as others within Stomaria have already stated, simply smacks of disrespect. He feels as though my life situation, the things that I am going to, that I have explained to him time and time again in every update, are not appropriate. They're not justifiable reasons for having not done this. It's not okay to tell the truth and to say, hey, I'm not certain when I can get you this, I just know that I'm going to get it to you, versus making promises that I couldn't keep. Once I realized that I was giving hypothetical deadlines, when I was saying, I think it'll be ready in a week. I think it'll be ready in about this time. I think it'll be ready by the end of the year. I realized after the third one of doing that that's not okay. So I really wanted to make sure that I said, hey, at this point, I can't guarantee that. At those times, I thought I could, and every single time I was proven wrong. You're not going to prove me wrong a fourth time. I'm not going to give you a specific deadline. Please know I am trying to get this done. Um, let's see. As it is, he says, as it is, this arrangement was supposed to be the start of something more meaningful in the future. As this is no longer the case, we don't need whatever it is that you intend to send, and for the sake of conducting this as swiftly as possible, we would simply like our stater and merchandise returned. We don't require you to send these as well as your own products. So he's just like, I want our stuff back. I don't care about your stuff. Send our stuff. You've already failed this trade agreement. This trade agreement's already failed. You ruined it. You messed it up. Even though you're keeping to every single term that was initially established, you messed it up. You're at fault, and so don't send us your stuff. Even though you spent money on it, which you're now in significant need of, even though you put a lot of time and effort into it, don't send it. We don't want it. We don't care about it. Send us back our stuff. You failed. You haven't done enough. He replies, 4 days later. Hello, Emperor AP, I trust you're keeping well. Had another meeting with Waywood, Cilicia, and Moreland this evening, as per my previous message. I'll need to press for an acceptable time frame in which this loose end can be tied, with the aforementioned stater and merchandise being returned. To reiterate, we don't require any products from Aeternia, preferring to hasten the conclusion of this trade debacle as swiftly as possible. With me having previously explained several times, I don't have the money. I don't have the money to send you the thing. I will send you the thing as soon as I have the money to send you the thing. I'll send you your thing and my thing as soon as I have the money to send the thing. And they keep saying, you haven't done anything. You you just need to send us the package. Send the package now. Send the package right now. And I say the same problem with sending the package that I guaranteed to you is the same problem with sending your merchandise back. It's the same thing. I said in response 2 days later, hello, Emperor Andrew. I hope you were doing well. I hope you were doing well as well. I'm sorry if Stomaria and its associated states feel that this situation is a debacle, but I am not sure how to help at this point. I have every intention personally of fulfilling Aeternia's part in the agreement we made, but it seems like what I am hearing from you is all that you are, from you all, is that you are not interested in receiving Aeternian goods. This is definitely disappointing, as we've eagerly promoted Stomaria and its interest repeatedly on our social media throughout the last half year, and I'm not sure where Stomaria and its allies have found this sudden dislike of Aeternia, because as of this entire period before the meeting that they had, which I thought I was going to be invited to, but they had a previous meeting before that they then created terms in order for me to accept to be invited to the thing. Or to justify to them in order to be invited to the things that they want. They're saying, they don't really want that anymore. They don't want to continue the trade deal. They just want their stuff back, which is still a problem for me because I still have the monetary issue. I tried to say I wanted to conclude the trade deal by sending both their things, which they were upset with, and said, hey, we didn't feel like we were given a good end of this deal. We want our stuff back. And I felt like that was completely justified. So I was like, I'll send you our stuff so that I make sure that I keep the promise that I said I would, so that it's not a Aeternia failed the trade deal, Aeternia pulled out of the trade deal thing. And I'll send you your stuff back because you're right. I'm not justified in keeping the thing if it took me a really long time and you feel upset about it. If you feel like you weren't given what you felt you wanted, I want to provide that. So I will give you back your thing. I'm sorry that I caused problems for Stomaria, but it feels as though they are 100% at this point saying, we don't want your stuff. We don't want to do the trade deal. You have taken too long for us. Give us our stuff back. You've failed. which up to this point, up until, maybe a week or so before this, I had no idea that there were even problems. I knew that this was an issue. I knew that I had brought up and repeatedly apologized for and tried to find solutions for being taking a really long time to continue this promise and this agreement. There are promises and agreements that have taken long times for Aeternia to commit to and to complete, just like with the purchases that people have made from our Imperial market. At times when our life gets difficult, when my life gets difficult, when Tiffany's life gets difficult, and especially over this move and this living situation that we're currently in, we have been able to do barely anything at all. So we absolutely wanted to provide first for the people who paid for our products and gave us their money so that we aren't uh, taking from them or misplacing their trust, so we can adequately provide the things that we promised in their Etsy purchase. I needed to do that before I could send a package to Stomaria. We have people's money that they sent us like the shipping amount for. Like they paid for shipping, they paid for the products. We have to send those products before we can send anything else, especially something that costs us money that we don't have, that we can't afford. Um, so I replied, hello, Emperor Andrew. Yep. I hope you're doing well as well. I'm sorry if Stomaria and if its associated states feel that this situation is a debacle, but I'm not sure how to help at this point. I have had every intention of personally fulfilling Aeternia's part in the agreement we made, but it seems like what I'm hearing from you all is you're not interested in receiving Aeternian goods. This is definitely disappointing as we were eagerly promoted Stomarian its interests, and I'm not sure where you and your allies found this sudden dislike of Aeternia. I continue to say, regardless of whether the items I made and am continuing to make by hand are sent to you, the timeline for us to send you a package still remains uncertain. Even if I just send you the stuff, your stuff back, I can't guarantee that when it'll get there. I can't guarantee when I'll have the money to send you that package. This is, as I have tried to explain, I personally am in a difficult financial situation, so I cannot afford to send any package at this time and will choose not to do so as well. This is meant as no offense to you, Stomaria, or other affiliated states, but simply my choice for my personal circumstances and moral conviction for upholding the terms I agreed to. He responds to me, hello, Emperor AP. You told me in December that all copper items you intended to send had already been finished and would be sent at some point the following week, which was true. And I again said I overestimated and I apologized. And he said that was perfectly fine. You then told me in January that you wanted to prioritize Etsy orders and said that at some point you would and said at that point you wouldn't set any further deadlines. He says you would set any further deadlines, but I think he means you wouldn't set any further deadlines, which is true. I said, hey, look, I wasn't able to commit to the deadline for getting it to you by the end of the year. Now that the new year started and I still haven't sent it to you, I don't want to tell you, hey, I'm going to get it to you next week, hey, I'm going to get it to you next month, because that wouldn't be fair if I'm not certain that I can do that. I want to stop, doing anything that would be seen as not being 100% completely honest and forthright about what's happening in the situation. So I started to. And he says, you then told me in February there was still a backlog, which there were. I was still trying to get out different citizens and different people who would purchase stuff from our Etsy, their packages, which were late, which were sometimes several weeks late, because we were trying to figure out where we were going to live, what we were going to do. We were trying to figure out, I was trying to figure out personally how I could get those things together. With other circumstances, my car broke down, a few other things, but all of that I understand is like, well, those are excuses, those are your personal things, so I'm not going to keep hitting on them. But just to say that understanding that all that was happening, and understanding that he's actively going, I know we didn't agree to any terms of a specific thing, but you have to send it right now, or else you're breaking the thing and pulling out of the trade deal, is strange. I apologized. I tried to find ways to work around it. I tried to find things that I could do in the meantime. I tried to say, hey, I understand. I'll send you everything back. Just give me the time to get the money together. And they're shaking me down, saying, nope, nope, you gotta do that right now. Um, the stated okay. He says, hello, Emperor AP. You told me, and this is the last message that he sent. It was 2 days ago. Hello, Emperor AP. You told me in December that And it was the same day that I sent that previous message. He says, hello, Emperor AP. You told me in December that all the copper items you intend to send. Yep. You told me in February there's still a backlog. You told me in March that it still needed to be sent. Yes. You told me in April that more time and money was needed to send the package. Yes, which is accurate. Yes, I did. In this month, I said, hey, I have money problems. I sent that in in March too. I sent previous messages in March. Um, More time, money, need to send the package, following by a comment stating that you still need to make handmade Aeternia artifacts, followed by another comment stating there was time and financial issue, which means you couldn't post a package of our product that you had, package of products that you already had, ours. Again, I told them I would send both of them once I had money. Once I'll send it. I can't send it if I don't have the money. I'll send it when I have the money. And then this is the biggest thing. Uh, I wanna I want to talk about, here we go. He says, the stated lack of financial resources and time coinciding, of course, with public announcements regarding the purchase of land in excess of $10,000, and goodness knows how many hours dedicated to pointless pot stirring with Tricul and Cyclodia, or digging a hole in a random woodland. So let me explain that part. In addition to everything that I explained with my father, having to be moved up to be closer with me because of his diabetes problems and living by himself at 70, getting close to 80s, in his late 70s, as well, being in the position that I was not able to stay in my apartment and had to move in with Tiffany and her family in order to have a place to live, and in order to be able to continually financially support myself and my father, put me in a situation where if I were to have signed a lease for an apartment, I would have run out of money. So I couldn't do that. In addition, uh, my once we moved out of that apartment and realized they're going to raise our rent by several $100s, an unaffordable amount for us, we also realized my father is working a near minimum wage job currently to try and afford the apartment that he has currently in order to be close to me, in order so that I can take care of him and watch over him and be close to him. And in all of that, his rent is going to go up too as soon as he has to sign a new lease in August. So that means my father has to have a place to live. I have to have a place to live. And if I'm lucky enough, Tiffany would come with us. And so I had to do something. I couldn't afford an apartment. Couldn't. I would run out of money. Like financially, just over the course of a few months, with food, gas, rent, utilities, I would have run out of money. It was an easily calculatable thing. What could I do? Well, Tiffany had some savings. Tiffany had, I think, about $6,000 in savings, more than I had in my bank account. I had a little over $5,000 in my bank account. I found a piece of land that was able to be purchased for $11,000, about an hour away from us. A significant distance, but something that was the only thing that was close to affordable for us. Everything else, every other piece of land, anywhere nearby, anywhere almost in the state of Alabama that we looked, was significantly over that price range. I didn't think I would be able to purchase land for years and years and years. That was an expectation. I didn't think I would be in this position either. I didn't think I would be able to, I didn't think I would ever be in a position where I couldn't at least afford to get myself an apartment, that I couldn't afford to live in the city that I had been studying in and working in for years at this point. I now have to take care of my father and myself, as well as try and provide a home for a future family that I would be developing, and protecting the family I currently have. There was only one choice that I had that made any kind of reasonable sense, and that was to purchase the piece of land, because it absolutely destroys my finances. It's a horrible idea in terms of immediate security. It's a big risk. However, if I was able to do that and I was able to come out on the other side, which fortunately I have survived thus far, I now have a piece of land that is fully paid for in the clear. However, so I don't have to pay rent. If I live out there, I don't have to pay rent. But I still have to be able to build enough structure and make it stable enough to have myself and my father live out there at some point before August. So what do? As soon as I think As soon as I realize, hey, I have to purchase this land, this is all that I can possibly do in order to potentially have a savable solution out of this, in order to have something that is even remotely acceptable as far as my quality of life and especially my father's quality of life. I had to do something. So as soon as I realized we were on board to potentially purchase the land, I talked to Tiffany about it. She agreed. She thought it was necessary. And I talked to my father about it. He was concerned. We talked about it. He was on board. As soon as everybody was on board, I started working because I knew that the second that we got that land, I had to start working to develop something. I don't have much money. Again, still surviving on like the $500 something roughly. It kind of fluctuates because I get a little bit of a paycheck from a job that I hold at school, but I can't spend money on a lot of resources, a lot of equipment to just build a house. I have to make things off of the land, which I'm actively trying to do. But when I initially started, just so that I can spend more time out there as well, because it's 100% undeveloped. So that means that as I continue to work out there, if I don't have something to shelter myself with, if I don't have something to just get me out of the weather a little bit, then a lot of my progress gets halted because things that I build get, weathered and messed up by the weather. And as well, because I have to be able to um, actively provide something that I can stay on as quickly as possible. One, to again allow me to stay out there longer so that I can build more and develop quicker in order to meet an August deadline, which I have to support my father. And in addition, I have to have a way to be able to uh, to do that and be able to support myself. So I figured I have to start working on plans now. He talks repeatedly about he was just digging some hole in the woods. I talked very specifically about the idea in those videos as well as in future ones, as well as with Stomaria, that I was doing so to prep for a dwelling on Aeternia's newly purchased property. We hadn't purchased that at the time. Um, uh, we hadn't purchased that at the time, but we were gearing up for it. And so I felt like I needed to um, do just what I could to be able to start planning that out. I'm not an expert craftsman. I watch like bushcraft stuff a little bit, but I am by no means a skilled carpenter. I am by no means an expert at building, survival shelters or camps um, or livable structures. So that being the case, I had to start thinking about what I was going to do to be able to make the quickest, easiest thing to develop and something that would be reasonable and allow us to use our space efficiently. So I started designing an underground shelter, started digging it out, started planning it on the land that we're currently on, staying with Tiffany's family. I did that for quite some time and dedicated almost every single day, hours and hours every single day, some of which I filmed, in order to make sure that I got that design down. I got it down probably more than halfway. I figured out drainage for it. I figured out the primary, digging and dimensions of it. The only thing that I wasn't able to do was to put covering over it, which I would have still liked to do. It would have been cool to see it. And as well to make sure that it was properly insulated for weather, for not only rain but also for varying temperatures. And so once I had that much down, we were at the point of purchasing the land. So I make a choice. Do I continue to finish this project, which I have on a different person's land that I'm trying to build off of anyway, just to get a design concept? Or do I start working on the land immediately? So I jumped onto working on the land. And that's what I have been doing every single day that I get a moment since. Every single weekend since we purchased that land, I have been working on the land. Uh, Earlier today, I went to the land. I got up early before I had to go to classes, and I worked on the land. I have video footage that I would love to start putting out because I've been working on the land. But I'm in the last literal 2 weeks of the semester before I graduate college with a degree, and I'm trying to push to get that for my family. and to be able to have a better career and to be able to have a better life. But that all being the case, and hopefully to get into grad school in the fall, that all being the case, I was trying to do that. I was trying to do that out of desperation, but also out of hope that, hey, well, if I can build something here and I can get this structure down and I can have it well enough that I could camp out there on a weekend, just enough to where I'm out of the rain and I can go and stay over a weekend, in a tent inside of this little, half-built shelter, whatever, and I can use more time to be able to work on the land, then I need to do that. I need to be able to build myself a little fire oven. I need to be able to make myself a little small shelter so that I can stay out there for longer periods of time and keep developing it, keep making it better. That way, once I do have money during the summer to be able to start accumulating resources and purchasing building material and working on that, I have something out there that I can stay in while I'm building a larger, better structure for my father to live in, for myself to live in, for Tiffany to live in. It's hard, and I don't. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do because I feel like I've tried to keep the terms that I agreed to when I agreed to them, and I'm just trying to explain my situation. And that has not been okay to Stomaria. Stomaria decided they did not want our thing. Stomaria decided that the terms of the agreement were not acceptable anymore and that they needed something sooner. Stomaria decided they don't want anything from us now, that they've severed relations, that this is the end of that. I'm sad by that. I supported Stomaria. I still like the concept of Stomaria, and I hope they do well in their future endeavors, as I 100% meant in that video. I still hope to send them the things that I wanted to send them and that they asked for back as well. So I will not be breaking the trade agreement. I will be continuing it, but I will be continuing it at a time and place that allows me to do so, financially and otherwise. I just, I feel bad because I feel like the the time, the timeline, us being tardy, us not making them comfortable with the time that we took to develop this package, and I'm continuing to develop the package, is something that's on me personally. I had things in my life that took precedent, that were incredibly important that I could not avoid, but those are my fault. I apologized for every single one of those, and I was told that that was okay, that it was understood, that it was fine, that it would not cause future issue. And the thing that I regret about it most, the thing that I feel so awful about with it, is the fact that it's not just affecting me. They're not saying Emperor AP caused the problem. AP caused the problem. AP didn't hold up to what he needed to do, or AP didn't whatever. He's saying Aeternia. He's saying Aeternia is bad. Eternian people are bad. Eternian culture is bad. Eternia is bad. They're a scam. There are people who have dedicated a significant amount of time and effort to this movement, to this community, to this group of people who have nothing to do with this, who should not be faulted, who should not be blamed, and should not be cast a negative light on as a part of a culture that's growing and developing. It's a shame. I'm angered. I'm saddened. And I apologize to all of our Eternian citizens, anyone who gets wrapped up in this at all, because it's nothing to do with them. And they should not have to answer for that. And they should not have to justify themselves to anybody. The only person that should be taking responsibility for that and trying to justify that is me. And I thought I had been doing that this entire time. I thought I had been, as many times as possible, apologizing and saying, you're right, I'm sorry, I'm not keeping up with this enough, I cannot guarantee you anything, but I want to make sure that I get this done and that I find other ways to appease you since you have been upset. I just, There aren't too many times in my micronational career where I have been without words. I suppose one because I talk on here all the time, and I'm sure you guys at some point want me to shut up, but and feel so hurt. Like I don't know what else I could have done better other than not making the promises for the timeline in the first place. I had said, I think it'll be ready about this time. I'm hoping to get it to you by the end of the year. I shouldn't have even mentioned those. And in the future, in negotiating any trade deals with anyone and in talking to anyone, unless I already have the thing done and planned on being sent out, I'm not I'm not doing any timeline deals. I'm just not. That sucks. And I feel like I have a lesson to learn in how I conduct myself as far as ensuring that what I say and what I mean are kept consistent and are kept to a standard that allows for clear communication. Some of that is my fault. The initial context for that is my fault. But every time I apologized and clarified after that, every time I tried to push forward with asking for ways that I could help, every time that I tried to explain that I financially was in a position that I could not do this, I was not supported. And I I don't think that's my fault. I won't say I apologize or say that Eternia was in the wrong or that we didn't uphold our end of the trade agreement. We 100% are still upholding that. But regardless, that did not warrant an attack on our community. You know, like, he's saying all of these are individual gripes with me, but he has not learned about or tried to understand our community in the slightest. He's just looked at it from the outside and said, these are all the things that I don't like about it. And so therefore it's obviously bad and it's obviously a problem and obviously you shouldn't pay attention to it, you shouldn't like it. I just feel bad because it shouldn't be on the other people who bear Eternia's name. And that's my fault, I suppose. That is the one thing that I will take 100% responsibility for, is saying that if I had been more studious with my diplomacy, if I had been more prepared to ensure certainty with my words, I wouldn't have dragged other Eternians into this. I wouldn't have dragged the name of Eternia into this. But I never broke a promise. I never said anything that I didn't either apologize for immediately after, after having it go through, or I didn't try to attack them. I never tried to insult them. I never tried to say, hey, this is a problem and I think you should, um, Stomaria shouldn't be the way that it is. The only thing I brought up was, don't do that to other nations in the future. Don't do the thing you're actively doing to me right now to other nations in the future. And I hope they don't. I hope sincerely that Stomaria comes out of this and is able to be kind and considerate to other nations. And sure, maybe they will learn the same lesson that I did. Hey, when you create an agreement, don't create it based off the time period and say specifically, we're going to send things at the exact same time, agreed on the exact same date, to send both of them. And if one person doesn't have confirmation of the sending, then the sending is canceled and it's done, and that's how you do it. Um, I just feel bad because I've always supported Stomaria. I have always been excited to see what Stomaria does and how it progresses. And it sucks that they're kind of trying to like blacklist us in the community. They're like, oh, you shouldn't like Eternia. Be warned of Eternia. Um, I'm just sorry. I'm just sorry for my role in that. If I had been maybe more forthcoming on the channel, maybe I should have been talking about this entire time and saying, hey, I'm still late on the Stomaria package. They sent us their package. We haven't sent our package yet. Hey, I'm sorry about that. Everybody, just so you know, their stuff is still needing to be sent. Maybe that would have helped. I don't know. What I do know is that the response from Stomaria was to condemn us. Aeternia has never condemned another micronation. Aeternia has, at worst, said that they think the specific actions of a micronation should be reflected on, and that those are not our personal values. But that's the extent of it. And that was, in my opinion, a fairly important case, one that was very personal to me. And so very touching to me, I should say. Very, connects to themes in my own life. And so that being the case, I I hope that they do not continue to do that to other micronations. And I hope that in moving forward, micronations do not take this approach. Don't don't hold things over each other. Don't try to defame each other. Don't try to shame each other. Don't try to hold others up to your standards. Don't try to make this community about accepting who you are and what you are, or nothing else at all. The micronational community is a diverse place. It's full of artists, full of creatives, it's full of intelligent people, it's full of free thinkers, it's full of, all of these wonderful, wonderful shades of human that we have, in terms of character and in terms of life experience. And I am so incredibly sad that this has happened. Um, I feel I feel hurt and I feel attacked. Um, the previous things, as they say, were not meant to be attacks on Eternia. They were meant for Eternia to justify themselves to Stomaria, which I don't think is necessary or warranted at all, and to abide by their standards, or not to associate with them at all. But condemnation, calling a nation out and saying you should not support them, you should not you should be warned against associating with Eternia in any way, is a problem. It's a problematic stance to take in our community, and I really don't think you should do that. I think that does. Somebody, uh, Manu says, don't get this wrong, Drew, don't get the wrong message. Tamaria doesn't want to bully Eternia. It kind of feels like that. I don't know. You, you're saying they don't want to bully us, but what they are doing is saying you need to uphold our standards, and if you don't, these are the consequences. They're saying not just to me, but to the rest of the micronational community, look at Aeternia. Look at how bad they are. If you don't follow Stomaria's rules, if you don't live up to our standards of professionalism, then you are not worthy of us. That you are a disgrace to micronationalism. That you should be warned against. People should be dissuaded from associating with you. If that's not bullying, I don't know what is. I I don't know. Again, please do support Stomaria. Please do give them positive support. Please watch them in the future and help them to grow. But please do not let this community become about tearing each other down. Do not let this community be about conforming to a specific rule set that's designed by a specific type of person, and that be the standard for the way that the community is set. That be the end-all, be-all of what is a micronation and what isn't. This community has so much to offer the world, and it should not be snubbed out by people who have a specific view of it. It is three-dimensional, it is alive, it is ever-changing. We should not be so quick to assume uniformity. I just I appreciate. I see people in the comments, some absolutely condemning us, some saying that they support us. I appreciate the support. I would say, you know, don't give Stomaria any flack about it for real. People are giving us flack about that, and that's not okay. I don't want Stomaria to take any damage from this. This isn't a hit piece on Stomaria. This isn't a boo Stomaria. I feel hurt by this, and I'm talking about why I feel hurt by this, and I'm talking about why the actions that I've taken are absolutely necessary. The name of the video where I purchased our piece of land was why I spent all of my money on a piece of land. Um, I just feel hurt. I feel hurt right in the end of my semester, which we had talked about in the messages. I had explained was something that I had to get done, was something that was very important to me, and that was taking up a lot of my time at the moment, which is true. If I didn't have to do my schoolwork, I would be working full time at a job, but I'm trying to get a degree to better my life. He said, "I wish you luck in your final push." I really thought that that meant get it done, go get them, you got this. I just feel hurt. And I feel sorry again for any Aeternian that has felt any backlash or had to answer any questions about any of this because you shouldn't have to. It's not okay. That's not your need to do. Don't worry about it. That's on me. But I hope this hasn't tarnished Aeternian's view of Aeternia because it shouldn't. I still intend to keep every promise that I made in the initial trade agreement that we established with Stomaria, which was to send them copper ingots. It was then adjusted to uh, to one copper ingot and some copper pieces, which they said was perfectly fine. Even still, I'm going to send all of the things that I intended to send them and all of their things back when I have the money and time to do so. The thing that causes me problem is that they didn't decide to just leave it be. They didn't decide to just continue to try and work on it, or continue to try and find a thing, or even just to say, as they did in this message, you know what, that's it. Uh, they say, um, you told me that the package was ready to send when it clearly wasn't. You told me that you didn't have time to complete it or send it when you clearly did. Uh, I didn't tell him that the package was ready. I said I was putting the finishing touches on the package. I was trying to finish it, which doesn't mean it's done. Told me that you didn't have time to complete it or send it when you clearly did. I didn't. I also didn't have the money. You told me that you didn't have the funds to send a package when you clearly did. I didn't. Unless I was going to do that and then hope that I had enough money to do something that would save myself and my father from homelessness. You told me that you didn't have the funds to send a package when you clearly did. You have done nothing but take advantage of my own goodwill for months, pushing the completion of this debt so far down your list of priorities that not once did you ever message me about it unless I brought it up, and were quite prepared to sever relations with a number of concerns when a number of concerns that others within Stomaria had about Aeternia were raised. Again, in no message did I ever say that I was ending relations. I think the thing that made him take that, which when I was initially reading these messages and responding to them, I was very confused about where he thought that I was severing relations, but I think it was in the, when I sent, I wish you well in your future endeavors, which literally meant I wish you well because previously I was saying, uh, uh, I just recommend in the future that you all do not pursue working relationships in this way with other nations. They may find it quite hurtful, as I have. It's hurtful. Don't do this. I wish you well in your future endeavors. Don't do this in your future endeavors. It's hurtful. So now he says, um, it says, and you're quite prepared to sever relations when a number of concerns that others within Stomaria had about Aeternia were raised. I didn't. I didn't sever relations. And I also was initially invited to a meeting. I accepted the invitation. Then they said we need to have we need to have a meeting about you justifying yourself and your actions to our people. Why your quality of your videos aren't good enough for us. Why the way that your nation is developed and its ideology and its culture is not up to our standard. We need you to justify that to us in this meeting, which wasn't what we had initially talked about and that I had initially been invited to a meeting about. It was supposed to be a promotional thing. It was supposed to be a way for us to reconnect after me having taken time to make this package. So it wasn't just that they raised some questions and then I was all up in arms. It was that they said, you better tell me why you're the way that you are and why you don't fit our standards. And if you don't, it's a problem. And if you don't, you're sabotaging this thing. And then they say, none of this is taken lightly and I'm fed up with this quote, I'll get around to it at some point position that you seem to think is an acceptable way to handle such arrangements, despite telling me that this would be settled in a matter of weeks. Keep the products and do not feel the need to contact us again. We shall make a statement on the matter in due course. So they say don't contact them. I have not contacted them since. Again, I wish the best for Stomaria. I hope they do well. I am excited to see their future progress. I'm hurt. I'm hurt. I'm in a tough position in my life. I'm trying to do everything I can for myself, for my family, for the Aeternian community. I'm sorry if anyone feels like, especially the leader of another micronation, that I did anything but try to do my absolute best to make sure that I got done the things that I needed to in the order that I needed to do them. I don't understand the reason to drag not only my name through the mud, but also to do so in a way that attacks the culture that we've built and the other people who are a part of this. Like, the thing that has hurt me the most is after this video was dropped today, I kept getting messages from people who are important to me in my life, people who have supported Aeternia for years, people who have been some of the closest people to Aeternia asking me, like, what's happening? What's wrong? Why? Who are these people? What's going on? And I'm sorry about that. That's awful. I feel justified in my actions. If I'm not, please tell me. I understand the one area was I shouldn't have created estimated times when I would have it completed. That was the thing that I shouldn't have done. But every time that I did and I didn't fulfill one, I apologized. I was told that that was okay. And then eventually, after I'd done it 3 times, I said, I can't do that anymore. I can't give you a definitive timeline because I know I can't keep one at this moment. And then I was told I was breaking, I wasn't holding up to the standard. And then if I didn't hold up to the standard, that there would be future ramifications, and that these are the future ramifications. It's my responsibility as a leader to do better for the Aeternian people, and to make sure that we aren't, treated unfairly, and that, their names in particular aren't tarnished because of this. But I feel justified in what I did. I feel the need to tell the Aeternian community as well as the micronational community. I'm sorry for any backlash that my actions have caused, but I don't think my actions are unjustified. I think it is necessary in the pursuit of what we are doing in order for me to, one, make sacrifices and leaps of faith, which are scary and which are large risks, but as well for me to be able to do so and to be able to move forward with people in an open and honest way. To be able to tell somebody who would be a potential future ally, hey, we're struggling right now. We're having difficulties. I want to do it for you. I can't do it right now, but what can I do in the meantime? Let me help. Let me do something. And for that not to be reciprocated, for that not to be allowed, it hurts. And I don't know what to do. So I'm gonna keep talking to other Aeternians. I'm gonna try to I'm gonna try to do everything I can to continue progress on the land, to continue pushing forward with the goals we have, to try and help and assist with everything I can um, as far as what other Aeternians need. All of that probably being done after this week, as this week and, well, I say this week, after this week and probably through middle of next week, because I'm in the middle of finals. I'm taking tests. I'm studying for tests. I'm trying to complete and present research that I've done for my degree. And I'm just hurt. I'm really hurt. I'm trying to understand what to do. And I'm trying to move forward in a way that is positive for the community. Again, I fully intend to uphold my end of the trade agreement. I plan to send them not only the things that we promised to them, but also the things that they uh, requested back from us. Um, I hope that that helps to some degree, but I feel so disheartened. I feel so disappointed by what's happened, and I wish them the best. I'm sorry that occurred. Um, I just I don't think that's the way that this should be done. I don't think that that's the way that you treat people. I don't think that that's the way that you settle your differences. I don't think that's the way that you complain. You know, Stomaria is its own culture. It's its own people. It's its own way of doing things. I have in this video talked about that I shouldn't um, that it should not be expected that a certain standard be held to any one micronation based on the other's culture and identity. So I shouldn't hold them to that. They should be allowed to do what they want to. They should be allowed to make videos like the ones that they did, condemning us if necessary. But I can't say that I can support that, and I don't support that. I hope that in the future that they don't pursue that with other nations, and I certainly hope that um, there can be um, there can be some understanding on our side as to how to prevent that in the future with other nations. Um, Fake name says, "Hey P, I have a question about Aeternia and Sumerian relations." Jab says everything Sumeria's been doing is stirring up hate and negativity in the community. Um, I just the point of this isn't to shit on Stomaria. Stomaria has good people in it. Um, I think I think I just need some time, I guess, to think about this. Uh, and I hope I can do better, I guess, in the future for the Aeternian people. Again, I don't feel like I did anything wrong. I didn't violate any agreement that we made initially in the terms of this trade agreement. But I want to be able to represent Aeternians better. They have no reason to get brought into this, and this is not something that is, um, um, in my opinion, even an issue with other Eternians. It's really just with me, and I feel like it's unjustified. Um, so multiple things. Um, Michael commented and said, "AP, my family badmouthed me when I stopped working due to my spinal issues. My quote lazy ass made my wife work at McDonald's. People have no idea what goes on behind the scenes." Sorry to hear that, Michael. This is really rough, and I know working retail, working fast food is not fun. It's monotonous, and it makes you not enjoy every single time you walk in the door. I definitely understand, and I'm sorry that that happened. But I'm glad that you had somebody there who cares about you and who values you enough to support you. And yeah, people definitely don't know what happens behind the scenes at all. But it's important to remember who's important in your life. I know I have Tiffany. I know I have my dad. I know I have our other Eternian citizens and community. And I guess all that I can say is if anybody does have any, questions, comments, concerns for me, please bring them to me. I do want to be open and honest and transparent about this. I hope that I have successfully admitted the faults that I did have in pursuing this relationship with Stomaria, but I did not pull out of any trade agreement with them. I did not cheat them in any way. I have continued to uphold and will continue to uphold the terms which I initially established with them, and I hope that I can help to settle any minds that need to be settled within Aeternia for that, because um, I, as the leader of Stomaria, the leader of Aeternia, should be able to respond to this thing that Stomaria said about Aeternia. I, as the leader of Aeternia, should represent the Aeternian people and should let them know and should let you all know this is not something to worry about. This is, in the grand scope of things, this is small. But if there is any concern for me or my honesty or my integrity or my capability or my honor, whatever it is, please come and talk to me about that because I want to do everything that I can to help. I want to do everything that I can to present this situation honestly and openly. And if there's anything that I can do further, again, please let me know. I've been slacking on other stuff too. I haven't been able to get to the micronational map in a long time. I haven't been able to get to the even like completing people's adding people's signatures to the um, goodness um, micronational conduct. We created a um, document for how micronations uh, basic ideas on how micronations should conduct themselves, and we got a number of supporters for that. And I haven't even been able to complete uh, putting up and advertising their signing of that. I've done it for a couple, but I haven't been able to finish it for all the people who have. So, again, I'm sorry about that. All of this has been held up by my life, by me just having to like struggle to survive and to get through the things that I need to before even being able to touch Eternia stuff. But I'm constantly working on Eternia stuff as much as I can, even if it's not doing everything that we have set up, because we are a very, very large community. In terms of micronationalism, in terms of my capability to handle the community. But at the same time, I'm still prioritizing what is most important to Eternia and getting those biggest needs that Eternia has, like having shelters on our land developed for not only us to be on, but our people as well. Other people that we invite to come and live on the land. We need that for them. And we have to be able to provide it for ourselves first. So I'm actively working toward that. I'm actively working to provide a more stable situation for myself so that way I can provide more frequently to you all and hopefully be able to make a little bit of money doing this so that I can do it more full time. It's it's hard, and I don't know exactly how to perfectly remedy the situation. I don't think I can make it go away. I don't think I can make it undone. All I can do is say that I've tried my best, that I've tried to be open and honest, and that I have admitted the places that I am wrong. I hope I hope that people will use this as a lesson to learn from. When I talked about Dracul and Psychodia, I talked about my personal opinion of where I thought Dracul was wrong, where I thought Psychodia could have done better, and I said at the end of that that regardless of my opinion, this should be a learning opportunity. We should all, when we are asked about things that develop within our micronations, when we are confronted with the actions that we do, we should be held accountable for that. And we are being held accountable. I personally am being held accountable for my actions and what I did. But I am trying to clarify and I'm trying to be upfront with saying, I feel those are justified. I have given the reasons and the context to why I feel those are justified, and I have not broken any agreements. Um, the thing that I would ask though is that people use this as a learning experience too. Learn from my mistakes, learn from what I have done, learn from what I didn't do but should have done, in creating really, really clear, really, really specific terms and preventing any sort of feeling of indebtedness or any sort of feeling of coercion that I may have caused. It sucks. It sucks to see something happening and to think that it's one thing until right in the last second when it turns out it was never that in the first place. It sucks to think that you have this person's support and this other nation's support for like months and months and months and to keep trugging along and be like, we're getting it. We get it sucks. We're getting it. We're slowly gonna get it. And then to eventually realize, no, we've been mad at you this entire time. You haven't done enough. You're not up to our standards. And in fact, we didn't like you in the first place. And our different, associated states have had problems with you this entire time. I wish I would have known. I wish there would have been a better way to solve that earlier on. And like I had said, I wish there was some other thing that I could have done in the meantime that I asked about and that I wasn't told to to help. I wish I could have helped in ways that I wasn't able to help monetarily to send their package right away when they wanted it to, and that I couldn't send their returned stuff right away when they wanted it to. I could have done something. I could have made videos about it. I could have, gotten, shared more of their stuff or whatever. But they didn't ask me to do any of that. I asked them what I could do, and I wasn't given a clear response other than send us our stuff when I had already expressed that I couldn't, that it wasn't monetarily feasible for me. Um, JPAB says communication is key with any relationship, whether it's between friends, couples, macronations, and micronations. Once communication breaks down, everything fails with it or falls with it. I completely agree. I think this is a case of loss of communication, and of course, that's what happens in most disagreements. Um, I just, I think this is a tough, uh, I think this is a tough situation, and I just don't. I don't want to be seen as someone, or I don't want to be felt like I'm in this position where it's like, oh, both people were just miscommunicating, and it was just one side wasn't like explaining enough or whatever. Because I tried to explain what I could. I tried to say multiple times, I apologize. I apologize for not meeting your standards. I apologize for not um, uh, keeping up with the timeline that I had previously established. I hope to complete that. I just I don't think it was a lack of communication on my side. Uh, okay. Um, okay. Um, Empire Brachus says Stomaria should not have done some things, but hating on them won't help. I agree with that, 100%. Um, Michael Ryan said ethics. Yes, absolutely. That was the other thing. The thing that I was trying to get to remember was the rules for micronational ethics, uh, which was signed and supported by a number of different micronations, and I I still have not been able to finish getting those signatures onto and being able to put those out. So please forgive me, everybody, for that. Um, Sorry, I'm reading comments as well. What did? Gotcha. Um, Fake name says it's 11:28 tomorrow's school day, and I have to wake up at 6 a.m. sharp. I gotta go. My prayers go out to you, AP. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a good night. Michael Ryan says, "Good night, fake." Rocket says, "AP is just doing his best. Stomaria is just making fun of him," and that's what makes it feel like bullying a little bit, right? Is that like I've been bullied in my life before as like a like a kid, like in grade school or whatever, and it's a thing where bullies generally are pretty bullies aren't always direct with their bullying. Some bullies are, real direct to just call you a name or whatever. But some bullies just create patterns, and it becomes a problem. Create hype around the excitement of bullying and cause other people to like mob in. And that's the scariest part of it. I don't want that culture to continue. Um, Steven says, the scenario is best left to cooler heads and well thought out words. In the end, all this infighting does is give others reasons to look down on micronationalism. I completely agree. I completely agree, Steven. And I feel sorry for my part in, I guess, taking part in it. Um, but I don't know. Should I have not made this video? I just feel like I wanted to justify it because people are asking me, why is this happening? Why aren't you doing anything? What do I need to say about this? How do I do this? This isn't a Stomaria bashing video. Like this is just to say, hey, I did what I could, and I don't think Stomaria should do this. Dang, guys, this is a sad night. I hmm. I guess I can say that again. I feel like I've done right by Stomaria and will continue to do right by Stomaria. Um, Yeah, I think Steven's right. He says justifications go okay, perspective was needed. I bumped my computer. However, it has been said, leave it at that, and we can settle it in private. I do completely agree. Again, everybody support Stenaria. You know, don't don't ruin micronationalism because of an argument. It's not worth it. You everybody continue to do what they need to do. Continue to push on. I will make sure that I uphold my promises and learn from this experience, I guess. But I don't think this is okay. I do have stuff to do. I haven't worked on my the rest of my presentation that I need to have done, so I'm gonna work on that and stuff, and try and have maybe a little bit of an early night. Um, I appreciate you, everybody. I would say to everybody out there, before I go, one, again, my deepest apologies to Aeternian citizens. I really want to represent you honestly and openly, and I want to do so in a way that makes you feel proud. I don't want you to feel like you have to answer for what I've done or how, or associate the name of Aeternia with controversy. I don't think that's fair. And I've tried my best to prevent that as much as possible in the ways that I could. I think I just I've learned, and I will continue to learn. And I hope that everybody out there in the micronational community knows to respect one another and to care for one another and to support one another and to listen to one another and to learn from one another and to be understanding of other people's circumstances. And most importantly, most importantly, do not let other people change you. Do not let other people make you feel bad for who you are or who you were or what you do or what you did. You are a person who is living and attempting to make the best of whatever situation they are in. For even the most well off of us, even the most wealthy, most successful, that is not easy. Everyone still has hard days. Everyone still has rough moments. Sometimes those moments just come from misunderstanding each other when there really wasn't anything to be escalated toward. But I think I just want to. I keep running around this in my head because I really want to make it clear. You all are the micronational community, right? We talk about the micronational community all the time as this like far off concept. It's you all. It's the people who watch these things. It's the people who comment. It's the people who participate, who have other nations. Be supportive. Be positive. Be loving toward the people in this community because we need it. There are people who have left this community because of bullying. We don't need to add any more of it. There are people who have left this community because they feel constricted by it. They feel limited by it. They feel like it takes away all their time and all of their creativity and all of their interest. And they burn out. And it's not a good way for us to run a community. No one person controls the community. No one micronation has the say in what is or isn't a country, is or isn't a micronation. We should be supportive of each other and we should listen. Every day that you all have supported us means an absolute ton to me. And I do appreciate that. We are continuing to work on the land purchase and to do everything else that we can. You know, we're working on it. So I want to plug our stuff as always, but I'm not going to do that for this video. If you want to continue to support us, keep following us. Join our Discord. Do all that. At some point in a future video, I will, drop more information about this is where you should send money if you want to support us. This is how you can donate. This is how you can purchase things from us. This is how, you can invest in specific things that Aeternia is doing. But this isn't the video for that. So I appreciate you all, and I guess I'm going to finish reading the comments and then skedaddle. I want to have a quiet night with my family now, and I'm sure you all would like and need that as well. Be with the ones you love. Be understanding. Be supportive of everyone in this situation. Don't detract from people. Don't name call. Don't hurt people. And we'll get through this together. Michael Ryan says, you could have said nothing, but you were publicly humiliated. You have the right to refute Stomaria's claims. If not, damage to Aeternia would go unchecked. I appreciate that, and I feel like that's what I'm trying to do, especially for my citizens, for people who, don't know what's going on. Steven said, if you're cool to talk, we can. Yes, Steven, I really would. Actually, if you have time after the stream, I would definitely love to talk. It means a lot. I appreciate it. I'm sure your advice will benefit me a lot. And I appreciate you thinking of me. I appreciate you being here tonight. JPab says, I will continue to analyze both sides of the situation to the best of my ability because I feel moments like this are important lessons in how to approach things. 100%. And I think you should. Everybody should. Continue to look at both sides. JPab says, every mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow. You're right, JPab. JPab says, eventually we all die, so let us not die with hate in our hearts and instead leave the community more fun than when we joined it. JPab, the wisest commenter. Devil Luke says, I remember seeing your videos on Parkistopia. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Devil Luke. Those were some of the ones that I, again, am most proud of and I'm excited about. Michael Ryan says, good night, AP. Tomorrow's a new day. You'll be okay. Thank you very much, Michael Ryan. I agree, and same to you. I hope you have a good night. I hope you wake up tomorrow and are excited for the day, and you look forward to life with all of the wonderful people that you have as a part of yours. And I am lucky for whatever extent that I am, to be a part of yours. I am lucky for every single person who watches this channel. And I am incredibly lucky for the people who have supported me uh, online and in person, um, including our citizens, including my family, and including just all of you. So thank you so much. Again, I hope everybody has a good night. Good night, Michael Ryan. Good night, J-Tab. Good night, Manu. I hope this has clarified stuff. Again, you guys know where to reach me. Jump on the Discord if you want to message me, want to ask questions. I'll be here. I'll be slow to respond over the next couple weeks because school stuff, but I'm trying. I'm here. I'm going to stay here, you know. So, we'll see how this goes. I love you guys. I really do. I don't say that much, and I want you to know. I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye, everybody. Aeternia forever.